Folks, if you'll quiet down, please, and find your seats. We are on the air. I call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the Golden Rain Foundation, Laguna Woods, California Nonprofit Mutual Benefit Corporation. It's Tuesday, November 6th, 9:30, and we are here in the boardroom. And we do have a quorum. We are down to 8 members, and one of them hopefully will be, yep, Gan is on Zoom. Hope you feel better soon, Gan. He is really sick, but he's on Zoom for us. So our quorum is here. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Director Rosa, would you lead us, please?
I want to first give a shout out to the veterans, getting close to Veterans Day, so thank you for your services today. Don't forget to vote. And if you could say along with me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Acknowledging media, we do have Zoom and we are on Granicus. I don't think we have any other media in the audience. Okay. Next is the agenda. Can I have a motion to
to
approve the agenda?
Approve the agenda.
I second it.
Second. Is there any objection? So without objection, the agenda is approved. And now we have 4 sets of minutes. The regular open meeting, October 1st, a special open meeting from the 11th, the agenda prep meeting from the 17th, and a special open meeting on the 18th. Let's do them all together unless somebody has objections for any one of them. Are there any objections to the minutes at all? All right, seeing none, the minutes are approved as submitted. And we get to the report of the chair. I'd like to start out this morning with the sad news for everybody that Mrs. Hopkins, Jim Hopkins' wife, passed away yesterday. And we send him our condolences and our best. I hope you'll all keep him in your prayers now. I hope you have all voted. If you have not voted, City Hall is still open all day today until 7 o'clock tonight. Even if you have not registered, you can go in and sign up and vote. Worst case, there's a provisional ballot that they will check afterwards, but in most cases, you can register and vote at the same time. And if by any chance you are registered and you did not vote yet, please go and vote. If you don't vote, you have no voice. And we don't want to hear any complaints for any. I'm pleased to say that the pop-up voting that we had in the PAC's parking lot on Saturday was very well attended. That's where I voted, and I went late in the afternoon just to see how it was going. They said it was quite busy in the morning, and just in the afternoon, people were there all the time, but it was not standing in line there. So it worked out very well. I'm glad we did that for the residents in the village. This is my last regular meeting. I will be here for the annual meeting next week, and I hope you all will come. The annual meeting day is full. We start out with our annual meeting for GRF, and we will have a review from all of our committees of what we have done this year. Then we will have a vote by the corporate members for our new directors, and we are electing 5 new directors for GRF, And then we're going to have another election, this one came too late, for a 6th member of GRF since Donna has moved over to 3rd. So there's a lot of elections coming up. And then following the corporate members' election, the new officers, or the new board will elect officers in their organizational meeting. So 3 things all in one day, but very important. So I hope you'll put Wednesday the 13th on your calendar if it isn't already. Okay, that's the end of my report. Let's move over to our CEO, and can you give us your report, please?
I will. Thank you, Honorable First Vice President, members of the board. This morning, I'm going to start off with the upcoming VMS Customer Satisfaction Survey. As you know, VMS is a not-for-profit professional community management company equally owned by GRF Third Mutual and United Mutual. GRF and the housing mutuals provide service and maintenance to village residents by contracting with VMS to perform the actual work. Residents interact with VMS daily in ways such as entering gates, playing sports, visiting a clubhouse, watching TV6 using the internet or cable TV, requesting a maintenance or landscaping service, and seeing a show at the Performing Arts Center. VMS is committed to providing exceptional service and strives for continuous improvement. The VMS Board of Directors and Senior Management held a VMS strategic planning session in May. Among the 2024 to 2027 3-year goals is to provide exceptional service. This is merely aspirational without a way to measure success. The VMS Board Ad Hoc Committee recommended a yardstick, so the committee designed a brief customer satisfaction survey to gather resident input regarding VMS interactions. Your input will help identify areas where VMS is doing well and areas that require improvement. If we could go to the next slide, please. Thank you. Residents are asked to complete and submit the survey between November 20th and November 30th. You may find the online survey, which is the preferred method of completion, in What's Up in the Village on 4 consecutive Fridays, Friday, November 8th, 15th, November 22nd, and November 29th, or by visiting the news homepage at lagunawoodsvillage.com, or reading pages 52 and 53 of the November-December Village Breeze. If a paper survey is preferred, they will be available at the Community Center lobby, Social Services office here in the Community Center, Clubhouse literature racks, the Clubhouse One drop-in lounge, village buses, the village library, and the Towers lobby. The survey will ask you for your resident ID. This ensures feedback from village residents only. Only 1 survey per resident can be submitted. Duplicate submissions will not be used. Your survey response is confidential. No follow-up will be conducted. And most importantly, your feedback is vital to VMS's continued efforts to improve service. Your time and effort are valued, and survey results will be published at lagunawoodsvillage.com and other communication platforms. As a reminder of another VMS continuous service improvement tool, the VMS Board of Directors recently guided VMS executive leadership through benchmarking to compare our organization with others in the same industry or marketplace. Benchmarking helps companies improve processes, technologies, to reduce costs, improve customer satisfaction, and much more. The report findings aim to guide VMS improving performance practices and strategic planning, and provide members with greater understanding of VMS services and how our costs compare to similar organizations. To view the full report or download it, you can visit bit.ly/VMS benchmark to review the report. And this morning, I also want to take a few minutes to highlight the Employee Excellence Awards. These are presented in the fall and spring to VMS employees who demonstrate excellent customer service, achieve great results on projects, and regularly go above and beyond their regular job duties. These were given out just about 2 weeks ago, and the recipients of the Employee Excellence Awards this morning that I'd like to highlight are May Kennedy, a senior accountant from the Financial Services Department, who is recognized for her invaluable problem-solving skills in the transition to our new accounting system. From the General Services Department, Rodrigo Ayala, a concrete finisher who has been a standout from day one and a go-to person on the team. Rosemary Boldick, administrative specialist, who consistently demonstrates exceptional commitment and performance in her role. In resident services, this is part of our information services department, we have Ruben Felix, senior customer service representative, who was recognized for often being the first to arrive and the last to leave. He's an outstanding employee who supersedes expectations. Jocelyn Flores, customer service representative 1, whose contributions reflect a true commitment to excellence in all areas of her work. And also Delphine Maffey, resident services administrative coordinator, who is well loved by all, and her excellence shines through in all that she does. And the gentleman who was just walking behind the dais, Grant Schultz, is a recipient from Information Services. Grant is a software analyst who is coordinating the ERP implementation, that huge project that is still underway. We just completed the accounting portion, but Grant was recognized for his dedication that will have a lasting impact on our organizational efficiency for years to come. The landscaping department recognized Hector Botello, crew foreman, who always makes sure customers are completely satisfied and whose excellent customer service filters down to the rest of his crew. And Noel Lopez, tree trimmer technician, who demonstrates abilities necessary to deliver on the demands of his position and another position concurrently. The maintenance and construction department recognized Azita Badri, project manager, and Guy West, projects division manager, who have set the bar for future projects, referring to the completion of the $3 million Clubhouse 1 beautification project. Alfonso Castro, plumbing foreman, was recognized for his vast knowledge and has saved the days many times and works to reach a win-win with VMS, staff, and residents. Jonathan Jarigi, maintenance operations supervisor, was recognized for his problem-solving skills, hard work, and commitment to customer service, which have a significant impact on VMS success. Maintenance and construction also recognized Melissa Serrato, senior operations specialist. Manor alterations success in call answer rate, walk-in rates, window times, and total engagement times is greatly improved thanks to her outstanding customer service skill set. Dominique Vargas, operations specialist, was recognized for her exceptional performance and highest level of professionalism to ensure that residents' needs are constantly and effectively met. Our recreation department recognized the team of employees for their outstanding work during the Clubhouse 1 project. Specifically, every employee noted has gone above and beyond to make the customer experience during Clubhouse 1 beautification project the best possible given the extremely difficult situation. So we applaud those employees listed on the screen before you. Lastly, the Security Services Department recognized Dan Lurie, Security Supervisor 2, who has been instrumental in revamping training and recruitment for the Gate Ambassador role. And he has proved to be a people person, both with staff and our many residents, visitors, vendors, and other guests to the village. And in the CEO's office, it was my privilege to honor Patty Curzet, membership coordinator in our Community Services Division. Patty closed the gap with real estate community by working tirelessly to coordinate real estate forums and information bulletins. Her attention to detail and her dedication make her a great asset to VMS. Please join me in congratulating these and other outstanding VMS employees who serve our community every day. And that concludes my presentation this morning. Thank you.
These are the people that make it work. We congratulate all of them. Okay, next we have our open forum. 3 minutes per speaker. Only members can address the Board of Directors regarding items not on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of this Board of Direction, not an HOA consideration. The board reserves the right to limit the total amount to 30 minutes. A member may speak only once, and speakers may not give their time to other people. No audio or visual or video recordings by attendees, and no rude or threatening comments. Members can attend via Zoom, or they can call the 900-6833 number, or email meetings@vmsinc.org to have their message read during the open forum. Do we have some speakers this morning, Michaela?
Yes, we do. The first speaker is Chris Collins.
Good morning, Chris Collins, 3306Q, and I'm here with a report on the work of the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village, which we do on behalf of residents who are experiencing temporary financial crisis. Thank you, neighbors helping neighbors. Thank you. Your donations to the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village make a difference in people's lives. Sometimes it's hard to envision how a donation can do this, but many thank you notes received during the year underscore how donations benefit and change lives. Donations permit the foundation to help with medical bills, grocery cards, hearing aids, dental care, electric and telephone costs, caregiver services, emergency response devices, and other matters when residents face financial emergencies. Sometimes the foundation helps in big ways, sometimes in small ways. So here are some thank yous that I'd like to share with you. I just have to write to express how much the gift of a power chair is changing our lives. My husband already feels more independent and capable of taking care of himself. I was so afraid that he would fall again. This will help him stay among the living. Thank you for the extra life we will be able to share now. Thank you so much for a $100 gas card. It's come in very handy when I was driving around for job interviews. Thank you for the generous gas and food gift cards this month, which was so desperately needed. Thank you, Foundation of Laguna Woods Village. My new shoe and orthotics provide support and cushion for my feet, enabling me to walk comfortably and exercise to increase my strength and balance. As a grateful recipient of financial support for a dental procedure, I would like to express my appreciation. I've heard about groups that make contributions to the foundation. Never did I think I would be considered to receive support. I feel blessed to live in a community that helps each other. I'm so grateful for the foundation. And from a 95-year-old resident's son about the emergency response device, which was provided by the foundation. The ERD saved my mother's life. She had a stroke, and she pressed the button to call for help. Everything worked out the way it was supposed to be. I'm very thankful for the ERD. So if you have any questions about the assistance provided by the foundation, please contact Social Services at 949-597-4267 or the foundation at comline.com. And for information about the foundation, you can go to our website, which is the foundationoflagunawoodsvillage.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you to the foundation.
Next speaker is Sue Stevens.
Good morning, everybody. You all know me as the president of Mutual 50, also known as the Towers. But what you may not know is I served on the GRF board. I know Joan remembers. And I served from July 2020 to August 2021, so it was a while ago. Also, in the past, I was a certified internal auditor. I don't think anybody knows that, except the people from 2020, when I worked on the amendment to the bylaws. It's important to understand that internal auditors are not a CPA. They're not concerned with financial records. They examine and report on the effectiveness and efficiency of an organization, and they make recommendations for improvement. Now, this is relevant because The GRF bylaws in Article 13 require the GRF to authorize audits of processes and functions in order to evaluate the management and operation of this corporation's facilities and services. Are any of you familiar with Article 13? Ooh.
And I do want to mention that we do have an internal auditor. Susan Tang has been with us for the past year.
Great.
She reports regularly to the VMS Board of Directors.
Thank you. The VMS Board of Directors. Well, this is the GRF bylaws. And so I think they should be reporting to the GRF board.
As you know, VMS Board consists of 3 representatives from the Golden Rain Foundation, and their role is to report back to the Golden Rain Foundation Board of Directors.
So the GRF board does not get any of these reports?
I just indicated that the representatives report back to the Board of Directors.
So they get the
They
reports
share the information, yes.
through their representative on the GRF board. Okay.
I might add that any director can go to the VMS meeting
Any
where these
GRF
things are
director.
presented.
Any GRF director.
And any mutual director.
I tried to attend and was cut off and told I shouldn't be there. Yeah. Paul Wynn. Do you recall? Yeah. He said, you should not have this link, and then he cut me off.
Mr. Leonard has attended VMS board meetings in his capacity as GRF director.
Well, I imagine the GRF directors would. Okay, so you're saying no reports other than those, the directors of the mutuals, you depend upon them to distribute it
Sue,
to the other directors?
I'll be happy to talk with you after the meeting.
Okay.
This isn't time for back and forth, and I apologize
Okay.
for doing that.
Well, thank you for your time. Well, I did print out what I was going to request was that your report, if any reports should be requested. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sue.
And that is all for open forum
Oh,
speakers.
that's all?
Yes.
My goodness.
Just the 2.
I'm assuming that some of those other people out there are going to be speaking on an item that is on the agenda, so appreciate that. Okay, let's go to responses to the open forum. We've had a couple already. Is there any other director who has a response to open forum? Martin?
Yeah, regarding Laguna Woods Village Foundation, I encourage clubs that if you're having a function that you're going to be doing, especially like through the holidays, to sponsor them. And if you have to kick up the cost of the plate, a couple of bucks to, but let it be known that you're sponsoring the Laguna Woods Village Foundation, and that, if you had like 300 people attend, you're looking at, $600-900 that you can be donated to the foundation just that one evening, and I think that it'd be a wonderful thing. And yeah, Sue, I'm all for continuous quality improvement to whatever we can do to improve processes that we are into with respect to purchasing capital in projects, and that whatever we can do to improve those processes to make them better, I'm all for it. Thank you.
Kush?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to say thanks to Chris for always coming and updating us with what is being done by the foundation. You guys do a stellar job and appreciate it, and keeps a lot of people out of trouble and happy. Thank you so much.
Okay, and I will finish up with just, again, these ERDs, emergency response devices, are lifesavers, as she mentioned. Those of us who live alone it's wonderful, because if something happens, I don't care how well you are, it's not just for sick people, it's for anybody that could have an accident, fall, whatever. These make the difference. And for those who are, feel that they can't afford it, there is a monthly charge. The foundation is wonderful at helping provide that for people who need it. So think about it. They're great. Okay, let's go to item 10, which is our consent calendar, and we have only one item on the consent calendar today, and that's the recommendation from the Finance Committee. May I have a motion to approve the consent calendar? Joan?
I move we approve the consent calendar.
Kush, seconds. All right, are there any objections? Consent calendar is approved without objection. Unfinished business. We have one item this morning, and that is a update on the Clubhouse One renovation. It's great that we are, for those of you who have not had an opportunity to at least go and look at it, you should. It's open to everybody, and it's wonderful. So let's get a report from Guy.
Thank you. Good morning, Board of Directors. So I believe everyone's aware by now that Clubhouse One was reopened on September 16th. Currently, all clubhouse activities have resumed and are fully operational. New furniture that the board approved has been ordered, and they're waiting on delivery. As soon as it's delivered, upon delivery, they'll install that new furniture. Staff right now is working with the contractor on all contractual matters, meaning that if there's any defective products that were installed or defects in the installation, staff is working with the contractor to make sure that all of that stuff gets managed accordingly. There are a couple items that have not been installed that are scheduled to be installed this month, which will fully complete the contract, and we'll just be dealing with whatever defects or issues that arise as time goes on. The contract allows for 1 year. The contractor has 1 year to come back and resolve any defects material-wise or installation-wise. And so we'll be managing that process throughout the year.
Any questions? Martin?
Yeah, how'd we do on the budget?
Oh, a good question. Glad you asked. Yes, we're well within. We're under budget, and we are preparing a report to bring to the board to show all the expenditures, everything financial, all the financial records will be included in that report so that you can see where the money was spent for this project.
All right, I have to ask the one hard question. There've been so many compliments and people are really happy, but the one thing that seems to be a problem still is the floor in the fitness center and the odor from the floor in the fitness center. Is there anything that we can do to mediate that?
Unfortunately, you're talking about recycled rubber tires. Inherently, rubber has an odor. It should diminish over time. So all I can recommend right now is that you open the windows to bring fresh air into that until that smell diminishes. But it's all floors of this type that are installed have an odor. But it's not harmful. We have all the MSDS on it. We've brought that forward. We've shared that information, and we're willing to continue to share that information. The product is made in the USA. It follows all the USA standards. So it's within all the regulations that are governed by our state and federally.
Okay, thank you very much. That's the one issue that seems to be out there. But I'll remind everybody who might not have been around when we redid the boardroom here. the carpeting, if you will, that we put in was the same way. And we had an odor for that for months afterwards and but it does go away. It does go away. Thank you, Guy.
Can they
Oh,
set up
question?
like temporary fans, like with the windows open? Allison, would they be able to set up fans in the fitness room?
Yeah, I don't see why that would be an issue. Go ahead.
Yeah, there was an issue with the air conditioning with leaving the windows open, so it just depends on the climate outside, if
Yeah.
it's hot or windy, or, so we're kind of playing that by ear with whether to keep the windows open or not.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Guy.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
All right, now we come to item 12, which is new business, that we have lots and lots. Oh, I'm sorry. Mickey, you wanted to speak on that?
Yes, Clubhouse, one question. I think whether that is related to the floor issue or not, but I heard some of the rooms before the renovation, some clubs were choir and singing clubs, and after it has been renovated, acoustic is very bad. They can hardly do the practice of choir. So is there that issue has been addressed? I know that there was some kind of adjustment moving into some other clubhouses and so on, but I'd like to know, please.
Okay, thank you. Allison or Guy, do you have anything on the acoustics? Let's double team there.
So yes, it is a recognized issue that the new floors are very, very echoey. We have had several groups that have requested to go and stay where they were prior to, or we moved them during the renovation. Guy and his team are looking into options, different acoustical options going forward. I don't know if you have any more information on.
Yeah, so through the design process, there was question about what we could do to mitigate the sound. Since a hard surface flooring was selected for these rooms, we knew that that may possibly create an issue with the echoing and the sound. So as a part of the project, we put in sound mitigation. So on the walls, you'll see that there's acoustic sound boards to help with that, to help mitigate that.
Baffling? Like a
Pardon?
baffling?
Yeah, it's a material that's made to absorb the
Yeah.
sound. I don't know exactly the makeup of the material offhand, but if someone needs that information, we can provide what was installed. But as long as you have hard surfaces in a room, you're always going to have echo. The only way to get around that would to be put something, a different type of flooring. So now you're talking about putting carpet possibly in, and maybe doing a drop ceiling with acoustic panels on the ceiling or attaching acoustic panels. So those are things that we're going to have to look at down the road to help with the sound issues. If these rooms are going to be used for music or singing or things like that, then certainly you'd want to put more of that type of mitigation into those rooms. So it's something that we need to address as we move forward. We'll go in there, we'll bring consultant if needed to measure and maybe provide recommendations of what can be done. Things like sometimes just baffles, hanging baffles from a ceiling. Even pictures, when you install pictures, that anything that will absorb the sound and keep that from bouncing off the hard surfaces. So those are things that we'll look at as we move forward.
Thank you. Okay. Let's get on to new business because there's lots of it today. And the first item, A, is to talk about approving the Equestrian Center fee recommendation. And Madam Secretary, would you read that resolution, please?
Resolution 90-24-XX, Equestrian Center Pricing Policy. Whereas, according to Resolution 90-12-132, which established guidelines for shared costs and fees, certain fees can be imposed upon users of various recreational facilities in order to control crowding, to minimize overusage, and to recover operating costs. And whereas the board periodically reviews fees as part of the business planning process to determine adequacy of revenues and shared costs, and their adoption of the 2025 business plan included certain fee changes. Now therefore be it resolved, December 3rd, 2024, that the Board of Directors of the corporation hereby adopts a revised GRF pricing policy relative to the Equestrian Center per the updated fee schedule. Resolved further that this resolution shall be effective January 1st, 2025, and Resolution 90-20-20, adopted May 5th, 2020, is hereby superseded and canceled. And resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are directed on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. And there follows a long description of everything that has been changed. The first column will be the present fee, and the second column, the proposed fee. Read some examples, but not the whole thing, because
The only ones that are changed are in green.
they're not, it's not obvious, okay?
Yeah, they're in green.
Oh, I see, okay, thank you. I'll read just the changes. The horse boarding fee, which is presently $265, has been changed to $412. Dry stall, which is presently $150, is changed to $247. Private lessons per 45 minutes on a GRF horse for residents, which was $30, has been changed to $55. Private lessons per 45 minutes on a boarded horse by a resident from $20 now is $55. A group lesson per 45 minutes on a GRF horse for residents was $15, is now $35. Group lessons per 45 minutes on boarded horse for a resident was $10, is now $35. Private lessons 45 minutes for non-residents on a GRF horse was $55, is now $75. Private lessons for 45 minutes on a boarded horse was $35 for a non-resident, is now $75. Group lessons for 45 minutes on a GRF horse for a non-resident was $35, is now $55. And group lessons for 45 minutes on a boarded horse was $20, is now $55 for non-resident. No changes under special care,
No, the boarding fee's a big one.
Oh, I'm sorry. The boarding fee per month for non-residents was $325, is now $515. And those, one more set. For show fees, show client horse, the show warm-up required per class was $15, is now $35. And for the home show horse use fee per day was $15, is now $35. So training fees, full training that's 4 lunge, 8 training rides, 4 private lessons, 4 group lessons per month was $425, is now $612. And half training, that's 4 lunges, 4 training rides, 4 private lessons per month, was $275, is now $396. I believe those are all the changes. So I move that we approve this resolution for discussion purposes only and postpone the final vote per Civil Code 436. I'm sorry, 4360.
28-day. Do I have a second to that motion?
Motion was what?
To extend it 28 days for discussion purposes. Okay, Martin, thank you. All right.
Discussion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? First on the board.
Steve.
Steve?
So is this proposal, because it's been very complicated throughout a couple of meetings, is this proposal just to raise the fees for this year? For this year?
For next year. It starts in
Or next year,
January.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
So no additional raises in 2026 or 2027?
Steve, would you answer that, please?
Thank you. So the recommendation before you is to update using the current fees, but to apply the 70-30 split, meaning 70% recovered through assessments and 30% recovered through the ultimate fees. On an annual basis, this will be reviewed, and then whatever the changes are will be reflected in the future years. So this does not state, so what, give you some background. So in the GRF Finance meeting that took place on September 18th, there was an alternative recommendation that was ultimately endorsed by the Finance Committee, and that was an escalating change. So it was going to be a 70-30 split in 2025, it was going to be a 40-60 split, then a 60-40 split in 2026, and then a 30-70 in 2027.
Correct.
So that was the original endorsement from the GRF Finance Committee. Then on October 10th, it was brought before the CAC Committee, and CAC endorsed having the original board resolution that was adopted back in 2010, which is what's before you today. So staff's recommendation still remains the fact that you adhere to the board's policy of a 70-30 split, and then in order to implement that, it would be the fees that are before you today. Those will be effective once again beginning January 1st, 2025, and then with each ongoing year thereafter, it would be updated to reflect the increasing prices.
And question for you, Steve. On page 11 of 16, it shows a 2025 budget for equestrian. Is that inclusive of these increases in fees for next year?
Good question. No, they are not. So the budget, if you were to, if we can pull up that slide, so page 11 of 16. And while she's pulling that up, the budget was approved back in September. Right. So all these numbers here in that column labeled 2025 budget reflect the dollar amounts that we anticipated under the old pricing. If you look towards the bottom of that schedule, it shows an 18% recovery.
So now this resolution is to take that to a 30% recovery?
Correct.
And what is the difference on that line item for total non-assessment revenue? In the 2025 budget, it shows 215,640. So going to 30%, what would the non-assessment revenue now become if this is passed?
Perfect. So within the financial analysis you don't need to change the page, but on page 8 of 16, I wrote that GRF could anticipate receiving an additional $103,000 in revenue by making this change.
That's the end
Oh,
of my
forgive me. That was a different option. So the approved 2025 budget anticipates revenue of approximately $216 from the equestrian center, made up of mostly horse boarding, lesson fees, and revenue collected. No, sticking with that. And then as a result of adopting this, you would bring in an additional $103,000 in revenue.
103. Thank you.
Steve, am I correct that on our schedule that we have approved for all of the different amenities here, equestrian is 3 years, so this would be reviewed again in 3 years?
It's either every 2 years or every
It's
3
2
years.
years.
Okay. But what that does is that will involve looking at the program itself to see if any exceptions are going to be made. As the prices increase, we will go ahead and reevaluate and potentially propose new fees next year as well. Ultimately, the program itself will stay as is.
Right. So part of what we are voting on is the percentage rather than the actual dollar amount.
Correct.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Egon?
Yeah,
First of all, the update to the agenda's got the wrong date on it. That should be November 6th and not November 5. This is a pretty convoluted piece of work that you need to have good grasp of numbers to understand. I'd like to just start with something. How many resident and how many non-resident horses do we board, and how many GRF horses do we board?
Sure. You have roughly, so you have a total of 40 horses in the stalls, 40 stalls themselves. About 9 are used for GRF horses, and then I believe last time we checked, there was about 27 that were boarded using owners, and then there are 2 to 3 that are sponsored.
All right, we have the authority here.
On that one, we were at 3 sponsored boarders, and we actually just had a change. 1 left due to the fee increases, and we had a resident horse take that place, so we are now at 2 sponsored only.
Okay. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Oh, I apologize. I'm Laura Rubius. I'm the senior equestrian supervisor, and I have had the pleasure of running the stables for the past 4 years.
Thank you.
And what's a sponsored horse? Just and how
Yeah,
do the costs
so-
relate to the sponsored horse?
Absolutely. So historically, since as long as I'm aware, the Equestrian Center has been running, there has been the opportunity for a resident to sponsor a family member or close relation and give up their allotted spot that they pay for to that person to board their horse. So for instance, we have a daughter of a resident. The resident comes and visits the horse, but the daughter is sponsored by their parent. So they pay the non-resident fee, but they are a guest, basically, of a resident. And the difference in cost is none. The costs associated with the care of the horses by staff and everything that goes into it are the same.
Okay. So if we vote yes on the 30/70, that is 30% is paid by the owner of the horse and 70% is paid by us. That means in just a minute. We are subsidizing, 22,778 times.
839, 838.6.
What? I'm sorry.
838.6.
Okay, that's
Yeah, so
better.
roughly about $600,000.
Yeah, I mean, but then
Subsidized.
when you divide that by number of horses, it comes down to, if all the stalls were occupied, it would be 22,000 for the year. And at 60% of 22,000 means we're subsidizing, and that's the true word of the nature of the thing, about $15,000 to $16,000 per year per horse. Okay, that's a pretty hefty cost sharing. And the reason I bring it up is not to rain on this particular parade, but that this thing needs some discussion. It's true enough that we cost share everything in the village, and so therefore we're supplementing everybody's effort, everybody's usage of the facilities, and that is by common consent. But it's way out of balance. If you're using a room and you're getting subsidized $5 for the day that you use that room, versus if you're getting $15,000 a year to supplement your activity, which is it just seems way, way, way out of balance with everything. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Steve?
Just a point of clarification, because different terms are being used for different groups of people, and I just want to make sure that I have this correct. So you stated out of the 40 stalls that 9 of the stalls are occupied by GRF-owned horses, and then you said 27 were by owners. Are those owners or residents or only owners? Is there an additional breakdown that we need to hear that These are owners and these are residents.
Pardon me, the clarification is they are owners of the horses. They are in fact residents of the community.
So they are resident owners.
They're resident owners.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, on screen, on Zoom, Brad, you had a comment, question?
I had a question, Steve. What's the ratio for some of the other services, what the community pays versus what the resident pays? Is that a 70-30, what our current target is for all outside type services or individualized services?
No, it ranges. Clearly, you have amenities such as the pool, which is 100% subsidized by the community, and it goes all the way to the other end of the spectrum, where you have a couple where they're 100% absorbed through fees like RVs. So this is predominantly, this will probably fit what most of the fees are, but again, it ranges from 0 to 100% in terms of fees.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments, Joan?
How do we determine that ratio?
So this one specifically was set by the board in 2020.
And for other entities or amenities, how are the ratios determined?
The ratios initially were determined based upon, I would gather, a staff recommendation over the last, say, 60 years, right? And they've been adopted over time. You have a lot of fees that are, again, ranging the gambit in terms of the shared cost split. So one of the goals of setting up the schedule of reviewing all the fees was to determine the appropriate math that goes into calculating it based upon the existing shared cost percentage. But then we're also evaluating that shared cost percentage as well. So again, I repeated myself, but back on September 18th, the Finance Committee did come up with an additional suggestion. So they endorsed a different split, the 40-60, and then escalating all the way to a 30-70 split. The reason why staff went ahead and held consistent because it was the original recommendation from staff, and then once it was endorsed by CAC, we felt comfortable endorsing that continuously. But within the staff report, I realize it's a little convoluted, but I wanted to make certain that discussion was held in both of those committees, and it was important to capture it in the staff report. Within a few years, once we've had an opportunity to get through all the fees, the intent is to look at all the fees in totality and make an evaluation from that standpoint whether or not we want to maintain or change those percentages.
Thank you.
And we are working on percentages, not dollar amounts for all of them. And that's important to know. And the fact that the finance is now looking at these on a regular basis, I think is important because in the past, it's been hit or miss, depending, for instance, who was on the board and what they advocated. And so this way we have a process, a standardized process that is going to take us through, and it's much fairer as far as I'm concerned. So looks like we have a couple of people who want to speak, so.
Yes, the first one is Marie Collins.
Marie?
Hi, Marie Collins. Does this leave room for the positive possibility that the stable in this next 3 years while we're working on whatever we come up with, that if they come up with ways to make a lot of more money, it could pour in there and balance things a little better, a little quicker? Does it leave room for that?
Yes. Absolutely. Okay.
And then next up is Georgiana Willis.
Board, I like to say that if you've got 27 horse owners who have horses here, the subsidy is $35,888 per horse. if you're not counting the GRF horses. These are personal property, and this is pretty much a private club. I can't go and touch a horse or ride a horse, and I think they're getting in some kind of a key system where only horse owners can get in, which is fine, but that's a private club. When people buy their horses, they know what the costs are of maintaining their horse, and that is not my responsibility. I don't mind some shared cost, but I really think all the amenities need to be looked at because this is so significantly underpriced, it's not funny. $265 is what they've been paying, but if you were in Costa Mesa, you'd have been paying $1,000 for your stall per month. If you were in San Juan Capistrano, you'd have been paying $912. I mean, Menlo Park, $1,775, although that may include some of the food. But the bottom line is, it's personal property, and every single thing, shared thing you're doing is going on to our assessments. And I think part of your responsibility is to keep those within balance, because we have a lot of people who've been retired for 30 years or longer. And I've had people come up to me, and I've shared this before, come up to me, not knowing I'm a member of a board, but talking about how they're concerned that they're going to have to move if these prices keep going up. And so you've got people with a degree of privilege riding on the backs of others, so to speak. And I think this needs to be brought into significant balance. And 400 or 410 is an insult. And it's a slap in the face to the rest of us. And that's my personal opinion as a member. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else, Michaela?
Yes, one more speaker, and it's Reza Karimi.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just going to build upon what Joan said. The concept of the shared cost is a little bit convoluted in our community right now, because for different activities, we have different shared costs, and I don't understand that. The reason, as Joan put it eloquently, is because who's favoring what? Because if there are people on the board that favoring one sport against the other, they, the share cost is going to, be higher, share cost is going to be lower. That should not be the right basis for doing the share cost. It should be based on the fair share of the activities and based on the cost of the activities. Mm-hmm. Somebody that plays, a lawn bowling is not the same as somebody playing golf. I mean, these are two sports with different costs, with different, huge costs on one side, the other one, probably very minimal cost. We need to work on the concept of the shared cost and find a fair basis so everyone going to understand that how this thing's going to be calculated, because now we just, putting our effort on one sport versus the other. That should not be the way, because, if somebody want to ride the horse, they know that is very costly. If somebody want to play golf, they know it's costly. If I want to play pickleball, I know what the cost is, and I'll pay for it. But it has to have a good basis so we understand. So every time that you guys are going to change something, we are not going to come in here and scream here, why you do that, why you raise this, and depends on who's screaming louder, you guys change your mind. I'm sorry to say that, but then, not you guys, we all change our mind. So, okay, well, not going to raise that cost. That's not the right way to do it. We need to find the right basis for these shared costs and a fair and adequate cost sharing, not because somebody wanted it.
Okay, thank you.
And Yvonne Horton.
I'm not very articulate, but equestrian centers, and I'm familiar with equestrian centers, their costs are based on the amenities that they have. We have none. We have a big riding arena and a small riding arena, and we can ride around where we do our mulching. The places that are charging, $1,000, they have 5 rings, 12 trainers that you can choose from, and miles of riding. We don't have that. And I believe in shared cost, and it has to be equitable. And looking at the pricing going up every 2 years, I think that that's a proper way to do it. And I think you're on the right track with the amount of money that you're charging now. $100 for your board bill to go up without any of the other kinds of amenities that you might choose, training and alike, I think is really a fair price for what we're getting, which is, like I said, one large riding arena and a small riding arena, and riding around our little place where we make our mulch. Thank you.
And then the last speaker is Ellen Leonard.
Morning. I was on the committee, CAC committee, and I made it really clear, and I think that it became part of this resolution that we're proposing, that the equestrian center should be monitored every month, and it should come to the CAC. The expenses, the employee expenses, we have, I think, 8 employees, and I don't know if that includes the equine generalist. I don't know what an equine generalist is, and I don't know how much money they make. But we also increased the stable hand as well. So, and we increased the shavings. Not only last year we gave them 3 bags, now we're giving them 5 bags. So the expenses are increasing, and we need to make sure that we review this every month. That was part of the motion. So, thank you.
Okay.
And that is all.
Egon?
Yeah, I'd like to say that it's very interesting that a new concept has been introduced to the discussion, in that fact that these horses, or at least some of them, are private property. Nothing else in the village is private property. Clubhouse 5 is not private property, okay? The swimming pools are not private property. So this is an entirely different look at things. We are, in fact, I realize that there are some GRF horses, and that's a whole separate thing, so maybe we need to really get a handle on this. And I agree with what Karini said. We're way out of balance, and we're saying, well, we'll get in balance 3-4 years from now. That's just not good enough. Thank you.
Joan?
We do offer other facilities for private property, and that includes things like the RV lot. And there's plenty of use there, and it's balanced between the users and GRF. I just want to remind you that stables aren't the only place where private property is given a place to store or to be used.
Okay, Steve?
The RV lot, oh, I'm sorry, what's Steve?
Steve Hormuth, if you may. I recall recently reading something about the RV fees, and there was a breakdown of what the annual cost was for the RV lots. And if my recollection is correct, I believe the staff recommendation is or was to meet 100% of those costs by the fees collected from the people who store their RVs, correct? So there's zero shared cost.
Right.
We pay nothing.
Correct.
The people who store their private property pay 100%. Is my recollection also correct that we are now, with golfers and the golf fees, we are now at 30% shared cost and they're paying 70? Is that what we ended up with?
It's about that. I believe it's like
Okay.
65-35.
So, again, as Reza has said, and as Egon has said, and I know many people have said, we have all these different shared costs for all these different things, and we pay nothing for some things, and we pay most for other things. And I cannot disagree with people who take the position that your horse is private property on the equestrian center, and we're subsidizing that. I think Georgiana Willis said to the tune of almost $36,000 per horse.
No, it's
per
too,
year.
it's too high.
$35,888.
Right.
So, thank you, Steve. I just wanted to make sure that my understanding was correct.
Sure.
Thank you.
So it's something that I also included in the financial analysis at the very end of the staff report, and something to take into consideration, that in this unique scenario, if you were to change or increase the shared cost or increase the fee component, right? Ultimately, what potentially could happen is your fees that you'd be charging to the residents are going to exceed the price of what you can go elsewhere and find, right? So one of the things that was brought up as part of the finance committee was, again, it was a 40-60 in 2025, 60-40 in 26, and a 70-30 in 2027. All those numbers that we did the math behind the scenes, we include them in the staff report. Ultimately, what it turns into is you'd be looking at about $1,200 per month at a 70-30 split. And as the other members have indicated, you can go elsewhere and get far more amenities for much less. So if you want to mirror some of the other fees that are such as golf, such as RV spaces, ultimately what you would anticipate is you're going to have 10 GRF horses and 0 residents in the community using the stalls. So that could potentially be an outcome. The argument could be made that individuals want to keep their horses here regardless of the price because they want to be close to their horses. So I'm cognizant of that aspect of it, but at some point the price may come to drive people out. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, one more comment, Egan.
Okay, just to what Steve said, in fact, I was also at the meeting. The panel at that time agreed at 100% cost for the rental of an RV space, and that's pretty obvious. It's private property, and I cannot walk up to any one of those RVs and say, hey, let me run down to San Diego this weekend. I got something to do. And so the RV owner would be highly offended. I think we need to distinguish between private property and community property, and that's my final comment. Thank you.
Maybe there's a difference between amenities and services that we provide for our residents. Okay, the vote is to put this on 28-day review, and that means then, I'm sorry. My button's not working for requesting to speak. Kush?
Yeah. I've been hearing all these comments. They're pretty good. They make sense. But we are at the wrong time of the year to make all these decisions. Purely because we're going to have what I would call changing of the guards in a week. And when we get to the next month, when we put this on 28-day, we will have a different view from different people. So I think this is a discussion that needs to be had at the CSE in totality, a total agreement over there, and then bring it to the board. Right now, we have so many different thoughts, and I agree with most of them, but not in entirety. So I don't know if this is the right time to put this forward.
Well, it is going on 28-day review, and it will be brought up again in December when we do have new board and new committees.
But then we will still have...
CAC meets next Thursday after the new board is...
On the 14th.
Put in on the 13th, so they may have some input then. But right now, all we're voting for, please, is the putting it on 28-day review to comply with Civil Code 4360. Did you have a card in?
Yes, Richard Rader.
I'm sorry, thank you.
Basically, what will happen if you raise the fees sufficiently so you lose all the resident horses? What will you have accomplished? Is this going to then decrease the support for the equestrian center? What's the cost going to be after that happens? I think that's the key question. And then, as you go down this slippery slope of raising fees, particularly on the equestrian center, you're essentially, in my mind, the ultimate effect may be that you eliminate it by your vote, by what you're charging. So be cautious what you do, but before you do it and vote finally on it, I think you need to understand what the costs would be if there was an elimination of all resident horses. Because I don't think it's going to reduce the cost that sufficiently. Thank you.
Now, Ellen, you only get to speak once. I'm sorry, no. The directors can speak twice, but not residents.
So when you say we're putting this out for 28-day review, that's on the assumption that we approve this recommendation from staff today. We're being asked to vote on adopting.
The way it is now, and it'll be brought back in 28 days for a final
Correct.
vote.
So
This is not a final vote.
We're still back at the 2024 rates at this point at 18%. We are voting to take it to 30%.
Correct.
And then it will go out for 28-day review. Thank you.
Well, no, it will not go up to 30% until the January.
Well, yeah, but I'm sorry, yes.
Okay.
So-
All right. Voting is in progress.
One more
Please
question.
vote on your screen.
Juanita,
Yes.
one more question. If we approve it and goes on 28-day approval, but then it goes back to CAC and more discussion happens, and when it comes back with changes, then it goes on 28 days again?
Yes.
Huh? If it
Yes.
comes back with changes, it will go on 28 days again.
That's correct. Because
Yeah.
we are not approving it. What we are doing is approving, moving it forward to the December meeting for approval or disapproval. And in that 28 days, we encourage all of our residents who have an opinion on this to let us know. And you can let us know by email, you can let us know by phone call. We've had quite a few people who have let us know in person. All of that will be taken into account. And the CAC meeting next Thursday may bring it up again and come back to us with a different kind of endorsement. So all we're voting on right now is moving it forward to the agenda for the December meeting. Egon?
One.
Bill? Did you? Oh, okay. You can vote on your screen, please.
How do we do that?
We don't have screens for voting.
How do you do that now?
Can I do?
You have a screen, but we don't have a screen.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Can I do that on my chat?
We just have the agenda on our screen.
Gan, can you message your vote?
Well, can I vote?
Or if you just want to state it right now, I can submit it for you.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, we're learning, folks.
I can't even see the mouse. Did it go through?
forgive me. If I can ask a quick clarification question from a CAC perspective, is there a request to further discuss this at CAC as well?
Say it
That was
again,
not part of the
please.
motion, correct?
We did not send it back to the committee. That's going to be up to them. Okay, Egon, I don't have your vote. There we go. And Steve?
We're having technical difficulties.
Yeah. All right, Steve, if you could just give your vote to Michaela, she'll.
I vote no.
All right, the vote is 6 in favor and 2 against, and so the motion passes, and this moves on to 28-day review and the December agenda. Okay. B is a motion to approve the Recreation and Special Events Department Operating Rules Review. And I commend all of my board who I am sure have read these, even though it was long. It was a big thing, but that's what we do here. So may I have Secretary please read the resolution?
Resolution 90-24-XX, Recreation and Special Events Department Operating Rules. Whereas the Golden Rain Foundation has established Recreation and Special Events Department operating rules for usage of GRF facilities. And whereas the Recreation and Special Events Department oversees the use of GRF facilities. And whereas the Community Activities Committee recommends the amendments to the Recreation and Special Events Department operating rules. And whereas on October 10th, 2024, the Community Activities Committee reviewed and recommended the approval of keeping the minimum of 10 years of age for guests at the Equestrian Center. And whereas on October 10th, 2024, the Community Activities Committee reviewed and recommended the approval of the Recreation and Special Events operating rules with corrections. Now, therefore, be it resolved, December 3rd, 2024, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts keeping the minimum of 10 years of age for guests at the Equestrian Center. And now therefore be it resolved December 3rd, 2024, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts the Recreation and Special Events operating rules with corrections. And resolved further that Resolution 90-23-68, adopted December 5th, 2023, is hereby superseded and canceled to the extent that they differ. And resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized to carry out this resolution as written. I move that we approve this resolution for discussion purposes and postpone the final vote per Civil Code 4360.
Do I have a second? Martin. Okay. All right, discussion by the board first. Steve?
So this is a minimum age qualification. So I have 2 children. I have a daughter who's 10 years old, and she's 3.5 feet tall and weighs 60 pounds. And I have a 10-year-old son who's 6 feet tall and weighs 140 pounds. Let's take this to the amusement park. To get on the roller coaster, you have to be a certain height, not necessarily a certain age. So that's my only comment.
Are there any other comments or questions from the board? Joan?
I'd like to say something about a 10-year-old's ability to discern problems as opposed to a lesser age, no matter how tall they are or how heavy. So the thinking ability is important too.
Laura?
Okay, hello. I did not have an opportunity to speak on this at CAC, so I thank you for the opportunity to explain why we were asking for this. Many of you know that I've been managing Equestrian Center since 2006 and have been in charge of many riding programs. The majority of places where I've been, the riding starts in lessons at 5 or 6 years old. Here we have the 10-year-old rule, and as being part of the application process for the insurance, we are not required to keep a minimum age in insurance in anything that I saw. I know Dan is not here, so he would have to also agree, but having to do with this minimum age. And the majority of grandchildren that people request to have in lessons are actually 7 or 8 years old. I myself started in riding lessons at 3 years old. And when we're talking about mobility and their ability to move with the horse, certainly at 8 years old, which we're talking about a third or a fourth grader, they are capable of listening, following directions, controlling a horse, not running on the property, which would be our concern, to behave unsafely like some small children do. But it really cuts out a lot of the grandchildren that people feel very passionately about getting into our riding lessons. So to not go to a level where kids are very young and would potentially cause more staff time to supervise them, a move to 8 years old would allow us to accommodate more of them and still stay in a safe range as far as listening to direction and physical control. Certainly, when from a safety perspective, having worked both in therapeutic riding and in competitive and pleasure riding, I have more safety concerns with people in their mid-80s being able to control and move with a horse than I do with an 8-year-old child. So it was for that reason that I wanted to open this up. We have a lot of discussions about wanting to be able to recoup costs through the lesson program. This is just one more thing that would help us on our path.
Board members, if you're interested, she's talking about page 44 of 164.
So
B1.
Okay.
The change from 10 to 8 years old.
So,
Joan?
So your recommendation is that we, instead of 10, you lowered it to 8?
Correct.
And because those kids could do it?
Yes. In my experience,
no restriction.
Yeah, there's no issues with kids that age. They're actually doing quite a lot in school. I've taught many of them. I've had them in jumping classes. This is not that level of riding. It's, walk, trot, canter in an arena with an instructor in small group. It just would open this up to a greater number of the kids that the residents are requesting come in and ride. There's nothing in their ability that would prevent it. There was nothing in the application that I worked on for insurance that would prevent it. Obviously, Dan would have to be here to be the final word on that, but that is the reason.
Okay. Brad, you had a question or a comment?
Yes, really two things. Number one is our general liability policy have any type of age requirements for providing services? That would be number one. And number two, I'm not sure that there actually would even need to be an age requirement as long as our equestrian staff is comfortable that the child is, able to ride. I don't see why we'd have an age requirement at all. My wife and I owned a cheer and dance gym, and we had kids starting at 5 years old. but our liability insurance covered that. So earlier is sometimes better. Younger kids probably fall better than older people do too. Now, having said that, the other question is that a piece of business we want to be in? I like the idea of expanding our revenue generation. I think it's a great type of program that grandparents and grandchildren can work together on. So I do like that as well. Thank you.
I will say, our risk manager did say that we submit the information to the insurance companies regarding the age. He wasn't specific as if 8 years old would be a difference or if there'd be a cost difference, but we would certainly submit that to our insurance company if we lowered it to 8 years old. But he didn't think it would be a problem, but we always submit the information to them.
Right,
It hasn't
and
been a
please
problem.
notice under safety that we do require helmets and boots and long pants and all of those kinds of things. Shorts, open-toed shoes are not permitted, so they are prohibited, excuse me. Make it right, yes, Joan?
I'd like to make an amendment.
Okay, well, this is not, quite frankly, the time for an amendment. The time for the amendment will be the December meeting when it comes for approval. All we're voting on now is moving it forward to the 28-day review, and it will be on the agenda in December, and that's when amendments would be appropriate.
I mean, if we actually make
Dan,
a
you had a
substantive
question?
amendment, doesn't that require 28 days again?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I have a comment. Why not 7?
Go ahead,
Why-
Dan.
Why not 7?
Why not 7?
Yeah. So the most important thing is what is our requirement from the point of insurance. That is what we should be looking first before we set up the age. I'm sorry, my voice is broken. Thank you.
Well, we definitely will check with the insurance, but I don't believe there's any age qualification, and so we're going with what's recommended by our equestrian center staff who would be doing the lessons. Okay, I don't see, Kush?
I guess we will check with the insurance company, but at the same time, when children or any of the younger people go and work in different amenities that we have, we make them sign a waiver.
Correct.
So it would be, and I suppose the parents would also have whatever kind of insurance that they should be carrying, unless there is a negligence on our staff or on our part or by the staff that we should be worried about. So mostly we shouldn't be worried about anything.
Correct, for almost all of our amenities, we do have waivers that people have to sign, sometimes under duress.
And I think our staff are really diligent and caring, and they will take care of all the people as necessary.
Okay, Martin?
So let me get this right. We have a discrepancy between what was edited in the operating rules versus what is on the resolution. And as far as the age, the operating rule says 8 and the resolution says 10.
We're not changing it right now. That was what Juanita just told me. I was going to amend it, but she said, no, this is just to move this whole thing forward. Amendments come next time.
But
Not
we have this
changing the age.
discrepancy.
Right, you're right.
Okay, I just want to make that
So
clear.
we need
Thank you.
the resolution to mirror what's in the policy.
Yeah, the CAC recommended the age of 10, so that, keeping it at 10, so that's why it's in the resolution.
Okay.
That was the endorsement from the CAC.
I'm sorry, would you say that again?
The CAC recommended keeping the age at 10. Staff had initially recommended 8 years old, but since the CAC recommended 10, that's why it's 10 in the resolution.
I'm reading 8 in the resolution. Well, in the operating rule, it says 8. Right. The resolution says 10.
Oh, okay.
So we say there's a difference there, we'll have to check that.
So that's the
We've
difference.
changed it in the operating rules.
Okay. Michaela?
Yeah, we have a few members
Comments,
requesting
okay.
to speak. Yes. The first one's Richard Rader.
Is it going to change that?
I'd like to refer to page 71 and 72. I have some thoughts regarding the operating rules for the Performing Arts Center. It appears that some of the rules that are longstanding are being eliminated. They've been crossed out, and I'll give some examples. Lobby posters must be no larger than 33 by 40 inches.
What page?
That's 71.
71 of
71.
71.
So you'll see under BA on 71, it says lobby posters must be no larger than 33 by 40 inches. So that means if you eliminate it, you can make it as large as you want. This makes sense to me. It also says that the posters are subject to space availability, and I know that there's been some problems with that because there are so many more organizations sponsoring PAC events. And then there was another one, and let's see if I have it here. On page 72, and it says clubs are limited to booking 4 ticketed shows per year. That's been crossed out. So what does that mean? It means that a club can have as many events as they want. And there was a reason why it was limited to 4 fundraising events somewhere in the rules. And so this seems to go against that. So I'm just asking for the rationale for why these have been eliminated. Thank you.
Okay, Allison, would you speak to that, please?
Yes, Mr. Rader brings up a very good point. All of that is still applicable. It's just in our recreation policy. We've tried over the past couple of years to take out our policy that's listed elsewhere and just make this the room operating rules. So all of it still applies. We are looking to review our recreation policy. It's been a beast, to say the least, trying to get it up to date. But all of those items that he brought up are still in the recreation policy and still apply.
Okay, thank you.
Next speaker is Marie Collins.
I was under the assumption, actually, that all of our active activities where there's physical things involved other than sitting down playing cards, that we might have a waiver already. Is that not true? For all ages, not just under 10, but to take care of the ones that are over 80 like me, you know? I mean, don't we have a waiver for everybody that does something active like that before they do it?
Yes, that is correct.
Yes, we do.
Because that would make a big difference in our insurance.
If you walk in the library, you have to sign the waiver.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, thank you.
Final speaker is Georgiana Willis.
I just want to ask a question I've once asked before, and that is, what is the cost of a broken neck of a 10-year-old?
$4 million.
Huh? How much?
I said $4 million.
Okay. So I think since we're a residential community, it's in our best interest to maybe not have this type of activity because accidents do happen.
I apologize for a flippant remark. We do have insurance covered.
Yeah, I do have insurance, but
I believe the point you're making
Is your microphone on, Bill?
I'm sorry. I believe the point that I apologize for being flippant in response to your serious concern. And if I understand correctly, the point you're making is not how much will it cost, but it's the humanitarian concern that we don't want to kill 10-year-olds.
yes. Yes, but I mean, it's actually twofold now that you bring that up because if someone had a 10-year-old who was in an accident, broke a neck or whatever, then any flyers that they've signed sort of go out the window when it goes to court, or however that the legal process would work with that. But I just think we need to, again, I'm not into the horse business, but when you're talking about children and some of these activities that I see more as like acrobatics on a horse, I see a potential for danger and issues like that. So,
Georgiana, isn't there the same potential for somebody our age?
well, you won't find me doing acrobatics on a horse.
more.
So hell would freeze over first.
A senior is more at risk than
A senior is more at
10-year-old.
risk than a child in many cases.
Yeah, but I think that's why they started it. So that's just something I'm pointing out, both as a humanitarian thing, but also it could be a very serious issue for us as well, if such an incident occurred.
All right, thank you for your comment. Laura, do you have an answer to that?
Yes, I just want to quickly address the liability issues. We have many waivers at the Equestrian Center to address these concerns, and certainly any sport, and especially sports where you're riding an animal, are going to require plenty of waivers and making sure that you have rules in place for safety and that you have knowledgeable instructors and staff in charge of the activities there. I welcome you to look at my safety record over the past 4 years. It's been very good. I'm extremely careful, and to Director Rosa's point, I believe, we have an 88-year-old. That's our oldest rider right now, and we are keeping them safe. We have several people riding in their 80s. Everyone that comes on the property signs a waiver when you sign in. Every minor has a specific waiver. As a minor, every adult, as an adult, the boarders have a special waiver for having their horses there. The boarders also keep their own insurance policy, which is higher than any I have ever seen anywhere else, to protect the community when they're keeping a horse here. So we always are thinking about both safety and liability. Safety is our number one concern at the Equestrian Center. We take it very seriously.
Thank you. Okay, we need to vote on moving this forward to a 28-day review and to the December agenda for decision. If you would vote on your screen, please.
Juanita, can I do that with the staff? Let staff call me.
Gan, what was your vote? You voted yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Steve, do you want to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Okay, thank you.
Very good. Well, it was unanimous, 8-0. We will move it ahead to the December agenda with 28-day notification for member review. All right, now this next one is about, I didn't understand why we had it as a separate one because it was kind of part of the same thing. But if you would read this C, please, Joan.
Of C, it's the Aqueducts, correct? Resolution 90-24-XX. Aqueducts request for exception to GRF poster policy, pool closure, and staff support for the 2025 Aqua Follies show. Whereas the GRF poster policy only allows advertising with posters for events held at the Performing Arts Center or Clubhouse 5, and whereas the Aqueducts requested an exception to the following. Golden Rain Foundation poster policy requesting posting at all clubhouses, the recreation office, and at the 19 restaurant and lounge. Pool 1 closure from August 11th through the 18th, 2025. And next, provide staff support for a club event, including ticket sales, setup, marquee and curtains, operation of lighting during rehearsals and shows, and coordination of outsourced lifeguard services. Whereas the Aquedettes have been offering an annual summer aquafolly show to Laguna Woods Village residents and their guests for over 55 years at Pool 1. And whereas the dimensions of the posters are 11 by 17 inches and 33 by 40 inches, the Performing Arts Center poster size. And whereas the Aquedettes posters would be advertised for 31 days prior to the events, and whereas on October 10th, 2024, the Community Activities Committee reviewed the club request and recommended an exception to the GRF poster policy for the following facilities only: Clubhouse 1, Clubhouse 2, the Performing Arts Center, Clubhouse 4, and Clubhouse 5. Whereas on October 10th, 2024, the Community Activities Committee reviewed and recommended the Pool 1 closure from August 11th through the 18th, 2025. And whereas on October 10th, 2024, the Community Activities Committee reviewed and recommended to provide staff support, including ticket sales, set up with the marquee and curtains, operation of lighting during rehearsals and shows, and coordination of outsourced lifeguard services. And whereas on October 10th, 2024, the Community Activities Committee reviewed and recommended to have poster policy exception, staff support, and Pool 1 closure for 8 days annually for the Aqua Follies. Now therefore be it resolved November 5th, 2024, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts an exception to the GRF poster policy for the following facilities only: Clubhouse 1, Clubhouse 2, the Performing Arts Center, Clubhouse 4, and Clubhouse 5. Pool 1 closure from August 11th to the 18th, 2025, to provide staff support, including ticket sales, set up for the marquee and curtains, operation of lighting during rehearsals and shows, and coordination of outsourced lifeguard services, and to have poster policy exemption, staff support, and Pool 1 closure for 8 days annually for the Aqua Follies. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized to carry out this resolution as written. I move that we approve this resolution.
Okay, do I have a second?
Martin seconds it.
Martin? All right, now this is not a 28-day one. We are making a decision today. And so are there any comments from or questions from the board? Steve?
I just have one. It just occurred to me that if you read the packet on 12C, on the first page, for example, there are several references to Director Leonard. We have 2 Director Leonards. So I would ask staff to find a way somehow in the future to be able to differentiate between myself and Ellen. Thank you.
I'm sorry, where are you finding that?
Page 1 of 18. It's Director Leonard, yeah.
The policies and procedures. Yeah, that's going to be something we need to address.
Director Leonard opposed. Director
All right, well, we're going to have to put either full names or initials, S. Leonard or E. Leonard, going forward. Okay, any discussion on this motion? Martin?
Sure, and our pool technicians make good money, don't they?
So do our lifeguards.
Technicians.
Okay. All right, I will call for the vote. Please vote on your screen.
Gan, what's your vote?
Did you hear me? I said yes.
Thank you.
All right, then it is unanimous. And we certainly appreciate the Aquadettes. They are getting to be nationally famous. You can often see them on television programs, and it's one of the real big shining stars that we have here in this village, so I'm glad we're going to support them. All right, let's go to D. I'll entertain a motion to approve the request for early release of 225 capital reserve funds for the purchase of snooker table and billiard table repair. Would you please read that resolution?
Resolution 90-24-XX, 2025 capital plan. Early release of funds for 2025 capital item for billiard, snooker table, and billiard table
Just
repair.
3 people. Come on.
Whereas Resolution 90-18-43 adopted and approved the capital reserve expenditures plan of this corporation for the year 2019. And whereas funding for certain items should be accelerated into the current year to facilitate ordering lead times and efficient operations. And whereas the existing snooker table at Clubhouse 1 is in poor condition and needs to be replaced. And whereas a repair is necessary for an existing billiard table at Clubhouse 1, and whereas payment for a new table and repairs to an existing table is required prior to the end of the calendar year. Now therefore be it resolved, November 5th, 2024, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby authorizes an early expenditure of $9,000 for the approved 2025 Capital Reserve Expenditure Plan for the purchase of a billiard snooker table and billiard table repairs from the equipment fund. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized to, on behalf of the corporation, to carry out this resolution. I move we approve this resolution. Martin
Great.
seconds.
Martin. Okay. Just one comment, this is not unusual. Our budget is approved in September, and sometimes we need to do an early release of some of the funds for different things to keep up, and that's what this is. So, any comments? Seeing none, would you vote, please?
Stan? Stan?
Thank you, Gan.
I vote yes.
All right, thank you very much. It is unanimous. The vote carries. All right, and now we come to item E. This is the fiber infrastructure project. We have an oral discussion, Robert Carroll and Paul Ortiz. This, folks, is super important. Please pay attention. This is something that is going to affect every single resident in this community. So listen, learn. It's going to be in all different places for the next little while. So don't come back and say, I didn't know about it. Nobody ever told me about it. We're telling you. Robert?
Thank you and good morning. I'm going to ask our broadband general manager, Paul Ortiz, to come up and provide an update on this item. But I just want to acknowledge Paul and his staff for working very hard along with the broadband ad hoc committee to get us prepared for this next generation of fiber. And yeah, exactly. This is a part of our public outreach to let not only the GRF board, but also those in the audience and those watching online. And you've probably seen some of the articles that have come out in the What's Up in the Village the last couple of weeks, links to videos. So as First Vice President Skillman mentioned, let us know if you have any questions, but we want to make sure that everyone is informed.
Okay, thank you. Paul?
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me today. Thank you, Robert. So I'm going to give you a presentation. I'm going to try and do it a little quicker than I usually do because I know you have a busy day today. So first thing I want to talk to you about is, your cable operation. Your system is very unique. Back in 1963, Ross Cortese did not like antennas on his new home, so they direct buried coaxial cable throughout your community. You were probably the largest cable operation in the world at that time. So you've always been forward-thinking community and had forward-thinking leadership. In 1999, we rebuilt the entire system. And this slide right here shows you what it looked like here. If you lived here in 1999, you saw all the streets cut up. You saw all the common areas trenched. You had seen conduit and repair people out there throughout the community. And so this is the biggest rebuild that was done for this system ever during the time from the very origination of the cable build in 1962-63. So this was what was happening back in 1999. What's interesting is that you see conduit, that's the plastic tubing you see, that is throughout your community. The beauty of that is that during those years, Pac Bell was your telephone provider here. They wanted to go in the trench as well, so they were supposed to give the Golden Rain Foundation over $1 million to go in the trench. So we laid conduit for them throughout our community. They backed out of the deal about a quarter of the way through, and now we had empty spare conduit, and they decided to go ahead and lay the conduit down and continue the build. So we have empty spare conduit throughout our community. This is what your cable operation looks like now. It's the hybrid fiber coaxial plant that is basically fiber to the curb and then coaxial cable, which is copper RF coax cable that you see in your home, very common. But what the problem is that this is equipment that was built in '99. We actually have fiber over by the towers that was manufactured in 1995. And we're finding that all these parts are no longer supported by the manufacturer. They're definitely end of life. We have a wonderful broadband staff that has been working and repairing this. We have a gentleman, I call him Doc from Back to the Future because he can solder anything. Solder is a very unique talent nowadays. And he's able to keep some of our electronic components working and in place. But our staff has been doing an incredible job of keeping the plant up and running. But there's high electricity costs. And as we all know, electricity is getting to be very expensive. Every single electronic component out there in the field takes electricity, and that's an additional cost to our community. And then copper, believe it or not, is a very valuable commodity now than it was in the 90s. So it's another protected mineral that is going up in cost. So a lot of people aren't even using copper anymore. If you live by Mr. Rosa, a couple of weeks ago, there was a power outage. Everybody in that neighborhood, about 400 homes, had no internet, no video. And that's because power was being injected into the plant. You have no power, you have no signal. And this happened again, not only over by United, we had a little fuse blow out. And that happens, right? And that actually knocked out about 300 to 400 homes for quite some time as well. So there's just a lot of electronic components in the community and in the infrastructure. So what we're suggesting is to build a passive optical network. This is fiber again, going through the empty conduit. And then the fiber that we have that we're suggesting would go basically to your home. It's the tin can that I've mentioned many times. You have a component at our Campo Verde broadband building And then you have your cable modem, quote, router that you have currently in your home. We're going to place it with an optical network unit, and that's all you have. And you have light going through glass, sending you internet signal, video signal, and any data signal. And that is what the rest of the country is putting together right now. The BEAD program is Broadband Equity Access Deployment Program. The government is spending over $42 billion on this program, so it's very similar to that program, except for we're hoping to do it here in your community. So that tells you the difference between the two technologies. PON is also symmetrical. You all now have 300 megabits, which is actually less than the required FCC guidelines. It's 100 megabits now. That was enacted in March. And so that's another thing. PON would actually give you 1,000 megabits up and down. So that's a big difference when you're talking about a Wi-Fi experience. The other thing we want to mention is that this has been a long process. The GRF actually contracted with the broadband group in 2019. They wrote your report here called the Cable Assessment and Business Case Scenarios. And of course, 3 months later, we had COVID. So there was not a lot done during that time. But what I want to emphasize is this project has been looked at for nearly 6 years now, and it's been well documented as we go along. So in 2021, once we got through COVID, the broadband group again worked with GRF, and they brought us the Broadband Services Pro Forma Scenario Analysis. What this did for us was it gave you network options. So, we could have done status quo, we could have done some DOCSIS system, we could also do PON. It also did an evaluation of your current West Coast internet contract, which was important because that expires in December of 2026. They've been your long-term ISP, internet service provider. It also did an inspection and assessment of your cable plant. I'm proud to say that what the broadband group, again, a leading telecommunications consulting company throughout the country, stated that this cable operation was the best system they've ever seen in the country. So we're pretty proud of our staff and the way it's been maintained and operated for all these years. And that was nice feedback back then. They also gave you an estimate of if you build it now, this is about what it would cost. And that was nice because that kind of gave us a foundation, but it was also a lot of money. So that'll be discussed at a later date. So when they gave us their scenario, they said we have status quo, we can own and operate it, or we can partner with somebody, and that's what it meant by a conduit lease. And that's basically where we are today. We actually went out for an RFP earlier in 2023. We had those responses come back. We are fortunate that we had 14 providers that we reached out to, and 8 of them came back to us with very nice proposals. Again, this was the biggest response the broadband group has ever received for a community, and they've done communities much bigger than ours. So we narrowed down that 8 after a few months to 3. And in this slide, this kind of shows you the 8 that were here. All of these are well-known internet service providers and broadband service builders and ISPs. Anywhere from city side to West Coast Internet was included. I do want to emphasize West Coast Internet was part of the RFP process, so we wanted to make sure that everybody had a fair opportunity to bid on this proposal. And then on April 30th of this year, we went out and the GRF hired Darmanino Financial Consulting Group. And what we really wanted to do with that is have a third-party look at, should we own and operate it, because that was being discussed. And honestly, they said the risk of doing that and the cost just didn't make sense at that time. So they suggested that we do not own and operate it at this time and still move on to more of finding a partner. So our operating business models were to potentially provide where the provider installs and operates a community-owned fiber network. And that's key right there, that last sentence, community-owned fiber network. Everyone we talk to, do not give up your most valuable asset you have in your community. So somehow partner with somebody where you control the ownership of that fiber network. So that was nice to get that kind of solution from the Armanito Group, another outside provider other than the broadband group, and from staff. So these are the three providers that were chosen from all of the ones that we spoke to. That's going to be Gigabit. And Gigabit and Arcadis are a Canadian consulting and internet service provider company. Race Communications is out in Tehachapi, and they do a lot of properties out in that area. They also have a property in Rancho Santa Fe where they do about 1,000 homes, so they're well known in this small market. And then Ting does homes throughout the country, so they'll have a lot of homes in Colorado Springs, they'll have them in Virginia, they have one here in San Diego and Solana Beach, so they're throughout the country. So we're very happy to have the three of them be a part of our finalists and be a part of this process. So in May of this year, the GRF approved our recommendation, and that was that we again would have a provider install and operate your ISP for you. And again, it would be community owned at that time, no matter who any of these providers might be, if we choose to go this route. So this just tells you our progress. We physically had all the providers here on site. We showed them all of our empty conduit. We showed them all the homes. Some were here for a day, some were here for a couple of days, but they all got a chance to get an idea of what the community layout was, and also to give them an idea for their engineering design team to see what it would take to actually build your network. We got their letters of intent. The in-person presentations happened before a broadband ad hoc committee. And then we also completed evaluations. Those evaluations are important because these were all independent evaluations by the broadband group. It wasn't like a roundtable. It was their staff putting together their own evaluations. And then Mr. Carroll actually got our VMS staff from our multiple departments, maintenance and construction, general manager's office, the IT department, our finance department. And we all had independent evaluations as well, and we had a scoring matrix. And we came together with, an answer at some point. So we'll be sharing that in closed session with the Golden Rain Foundation in the near future. So this is just telling you a little bit how this program has been progressing. And then our next steps are, of course, yesterday we met with the Broadband Ad Hoc Committee. They did approve the staff recommendation and the consultant's recommendation. But the biggest thing is now we move on to now GRF Finance, because there is a cost involved for building this, new network. And then hopefully we'll get to the GRF board, and then it'll go on from there. But there'll be plenty of time for, well, not plenty of time. There'll be time for discussion to make sure that everybody has their questions answered in a timely fashion. So those are the next steps. And of course, the most important thing too is our public education and our community outreach. We've been working with Elise, getting out those What's Up in the Village the last couple of weeks, and I'm very happy to say that I've received probably 50 emails from residents who just said, hey, I'd like to see that report, and I have a next-gen technology report. If anybody wants to have a copy, I'd be happy to send it to you. And everybody's been pretty receptive with this project. So we're going to get out there. I'm on the PC Club show this week. So that's at 11 o'clock on Saturdays with the new president, Gary Russell. And we're also going to continue to push Debbie Dotson and her Let's Talk Tech to get this information out to our community. So the biggest thing is getting the community involved and get them the necessary education that they understand how this process will occur and how it will affect them, especially in their home. And that's really all I have right now. Oh, of course, Juanita's favorite, this, I have to remember this. And Village Television. So we've had calls too and questions like, well, if you guys go and start streaming and do all these things, what's going to happen with Village Television? We've already developed a streaming app, and it's in the App Store, and we're really going to push it out next year. Next year is our 60th birthday, so we really want to push out a campaign where people can now stream. So if you have a smart TV and you want to watch our live stream, just go to the App Store, search Village Television, and you'll be able to see this meeting as it occurs. And we feel that that's going to be right up there with your Netflix and your Amazon Prime and your Peacock as the future rolls on. So we just want to assure you, Village Television, hopefully will last another 60 years here in your community, and staff is happy to, continue to provide that service to our community. That's all I have.
Thank you, Paul. All right, Martin?
I really appreciate you coming forth with this information, and I've really enjoyed working with the broadband group with you, and it's just been discovery after discovery as to how this thing is progressing. We're moving along really well, and I'm really, really happy with it. And getting to know you, finding out we have the same birthday, we're probably long-lost twins, and probably not. Anyway, PON technology, finding out it's being used worldwide. I mean, being in Indonesia, they're putting fiber strands right to huts that they can gain the internet really quick and with incredible speeds. But getting back to our existing hybrid network, weren't you saying something like with coaxial? Like when there's bad connections, they can become a generation of noise and.
Oh, absolutely.
Can you expound on that a little?
A lot of the calls we have are what we call SNRs, or signal noise interference radio calls. It's radio interference too. Like it could be even someone's shaver or even a garage door opener. That's how sensitive some of this equipment is, and some of it is just dirty, bad connectors. The system's been in place for 25 years, and some of it hasn't even been touched, especially the empty conduit, because we never had a reason to use it. But as you're only as fast as the slowest component in your infrastructure. So if you have bad connectors, and then you have people with splitters in their home that like to, take it out to the other room and things of that nature, that actually causes interference throughout your entire building. So if you live in an 8-unit or a 22-unit building, and everyone has experienced the same kind of slow speeds and maybe some pixelation, then there could be a bad connector that was caused possibly by someone who recently renovated. And we found a lot of general contractors who like to just staple the baseboard, which happens to be right where our cable is too. So then that causes interference. But yeah,
That's the electrical exposure.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Steve?
I'd just like to put a shout out to start with to Paul and Robert Carroll and Chuck Holland. We're very fortunate to have these people in VMS. My question, well, I have a couple questions. One, so if we now have a hybrid system that will be replaced as a fiber optic to the wall, we're going to lose all the copper, is that correct? Okay. So towers is going to have a lot of rewiring to do.
Actually, no. They're actually pretty easy. The towers is unique. They have, they're just each floor.
Right.
And they actually have 14 feet of headspace in between floors.
Right.
And actually, they're already taking fiber to every one of those floors. Okay. And they've already drilled through that brick that's about like this thick. So towers is a lot easier than we thought it was going to be.
Good. My other question to you is, this is still a hardware-based system. So it's going to go to the wall, and from your wall, you're going to connect equipment to be able to go, or how much of this is Wi-Fi?
It's all Wi-Fi.
It's all Wi-Fi.
Yeah, so what's going to happen is, now I don't want to confuse anyone, the current fiber network you're using today will be dormant. It's going to go away. Eventually, hopefully, someone pulls that all out and you do something else, and now you have another spare pathway. So you're going to have the new fiber network start at Campo Verde. Fiber is going to go directly to your home, and we're going to put our optical network unit in your home, just like your cable router and modem, and that's going to be your Wi-Fi experience. You're also going to have subscriber management tools, so you make sure that your neighbors aren't jumping on your network and things of that nature. So there's a lot of protections going to be involved with that. But there's not going to be where you're going to go buy a router, rent a router, buy your cable modem. It's one unit that's going to stay in the home. So if Mr. Leonard decides to move out, that he does not take that with him. We hope he doesn't. And it stays with the home, and that'll be nice because then it's just light. And there's no. That's why they call it passive. It's just light going from point A to point B, and there's no electricity in between.
All right, thank you for explaining that.
And you're transceiving on just one strand, is that right?
Yes.
That's pretty
nowadays,
slick.
Nowadays, that's a lot of information. If this proposal goes through, you will probably get a lot of attention from the surrounding communities and the media for what you'll be doing.
Do I understand you to be saying that the terminal device in the home is going to be one thing, and that it will provide Wi-Fi throughout the home?
Yes, sir. There's some of the larger homes that are in the Gate 11 area in the Casa Monicos, which I believe are over 2,000 square feet, will be offered a mesh solution if they so need it. And there will be, that opportunity for those residents. But a majority of our, our homes are less than 1,200 square feet. And once we enter the doorway and get you into a nice location, that Wi-Fi will definitely cover the entire property.
Thank you.
Kush?
Thanks. Will this be, this is awesome. We needed it yesterday. But when we get to the point of installing this device, whatever you call it, like a modem in the house,
right?
Will there be a cost for each location?
No. Well, that's going to be part of this negotiation with your provider. Again, we once that unit is put into your home, it's part of the infrastructure, and so there would be no cost to the resident at that point. The nice part is that we want to take on the liability of the fiber network. That fiber network is going to last you 50 to 75 years, where the components will last probably 7 to 10 years. And part of that negotiation would be, okay, then you're going to replace it with new technology in 7 years. It would be the provider's responsibility to make sure that happens.
Yes, the service will be awesome. I've experienced it in my office, in my previous business, as well as in my home in Redondo Beach, where I think Verizon provided Fios over there.
Fiber.
So they did bring the fiber right to my house, and we were using it. It's lightning fast.
Right.
It's terrific. We need to do it right away.
Michaela?
We do have 3 resident members who have questions, if that's okay.
Yep, this is the time.
Perfect. The first one is Marie Collins.
Hi. I have a question. Are we going to be able to pull the new fiber and get rid of the other, or are we going to have to open up like we did 99.9?
You're going to use the empty spare conduit that's already in the ground.
It's already in the ground.
So
We will
there's-
not have to dig and do this.
There'll
much.
be, right, less than 10% of digging. There's 2 conduits, they parallel one each other. One's empty and one has your current network in it.
Perfect.
We're going to feed to the empty one and let the old sit.
That was my assumption. I just wanted to hear it from you. Okay. All right. The other thing I want to say is that I'm a Johnny-come-lately on this information. Okay, but in 1999, when this fiber was being laid in Houston, Texas, AT&T was laying fiber, and I moved my office from the west side, which had lots of internet, to the east side, which had none. And I said, how long will it be till I get some digging, lay it down, fiber over here? And they said 2 years. So based on my experience in another turnaround company that I just set up for a single company coming from Dallas over the lake to get internet because they had said 2 years won't do. So I reasoned that there were other people that needed that quicker than 2 years. So I established in 1999 a wireless internet company, the first one in Houston, to cover 200 square miles, et cetera, But my first reaction was, in everything I do, it's always cost-benefit analysis. So I was looking for a cost-benefit. Well, I can't do a cost, okay? Can't do a cost, but I can do a benefit. And I'm going to tell you from my point of view, which is worth nothing or maybe something, okay? I absolutely think this is a wonderful thing to do. I have been able beneficially to make the comparison, and the fiber, if we can pull it as opposed to lay it, will actually be, I cannot tell you how beneficial. We've absolutely got to get rid of that coaxial. Got to get rid of it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Marie.
Next speaker is Allison Bach.
Well, I've had the privilege of watching this go on for the last couple of years as a side advisor in the committee and a member in the past. I just like to make the observation that everybody in the village will be impacted by this. That means that somebody's going to be coming into every single unit, every single manor in the whole village, Third, United, 50, and installing the thing. So there's going to be a vast educational effort needed, as well as a process for gaining access for those people who are not in town, have renters, don't want anybody in, don't understand it. You know what the story can be. But every single unit is going to have to be accessed in order to implement this. This is not optional. Is that right, Martin?
That's correct.
Yes, all right. And it is a permanent enhancement. It becomes part of our infrastructure. But let's be keenly aware that people, strangers, are going to be coming into people's manors and doing this. And we have to make sure that our members all know that they have to make their unit available for this as the implementation goes on. Thanks.
Thank you, Allison. Yeah, that's important because we do have a problem with people who say, I don't want anybody in my unit. Sometimes for maintenance or whatever, they don't want to let people in. It's going to be required. They're going to have to. If you live in this village, it's going to be required. And all safety precautions will take effect. I have to say that the companies that we're looking at all have a educational piece, community education piece, that they will be out there in the next few months with everybody so that they understand what and why and how it will affect their unit. But we're just telling you now, everybody, it will affect you. But you will also get the benefit of it, and the benefits are tremendous. I think we had one more.
Yes, two more. Richard Rader.
I had two related questions. Are we still going to be have an outside internet provider? And also, I just upgraded to a new printer, and I don't know if I'm using the right terminology, but it only recognized 2 rather than the 5 gigahertz. And is this going to affect that?
You will have an internet provider similar to the relationship you have currently. This build is supposed to happen and completed by the summer of 26. So all the Wi-Fi frequencies will be available, and it depends too. You know, sometimes there's 8-band frequencies, so there's 8 channels. But these optical network units are much more sophisticated than your cable modem or router you got at Best Buy. So it will talk to every device in your home, and even if you're like Jim Cook and have 40-something devices, it would be able to handle that channel capacity. So I don't have any concerns about that whatsoever.
Thank you.
Actually, 2 more speakers. Next speaker is Reza Karimi.
Thank you. I'm not speaking as a third board director. I'm speaking as Reza, as a member. This is not a good-to-have project. This is a necessary project for the community that take us to 21st century. We have to do it. I really recommend to all other boards, all the boards members and new members that are going to come on, to educate themselves as quickly as possible on this project. Don't wait for communication coming to you. Go to the information, educate yourself, and throw your support behind this project. This is a very time-sensitive project that if it don't meet the time frame, we all gonna pay dearly one way or the other. So please educate yourself. That's also for members at large, everybody. Please get with it. Try to understand where this thing going and throw your support behind it. I'll do my best to try to help as much as I can. But as I said, this is going to take us to 21st century and we need it. We cannot fail on this. Thank you.
Amen.
And then final speaker is Georgiana Willis.
Yes, I guess my question might be more for you. I was wondering how it impacts someone like me. I use the internet and I don't watch much television, so how would my costs change?
The proposals we're seeing today are very similar to the costs you're paying out of pocket today. So it's not going to be a huge increase for anyone in the community as we bring in the new project. So your internet costs and your television costs are going to be basically the same. And for someone like yourself, it will be the same. Some people will actually save money. You know, we won't be having set-top boxes in your home anymore and have three set-top boxes that you rent for $15 each. So those people, you know, are going to save a considerable amount of money. But the average person like yourself, your costs are going to be somewhat closer to what you're paying today than any kind of an increase.
Okay, so if you come out with a product that will make my dinner, life will be perfect.
That's the Jetsons. We're almost there.
That's all the questions? All right, well, thank you to Robert and to Paul. We look forward every meeting probably to an update on where we're doing, because this project has been going on for 6 years, but it's really coming to a head right now. And as many people have said, it's very time sensitive. We need to get it out there and we need to get all of our residents on board. So thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome.
All right, let's go to F. I'll entertain a motion to approve RV storage fee recommendation. Madam Secretary, if you will read that resolution.
Resolution 90-24-XX, user fee for RV lots. Whereas Golden Rain Foundation of Laguna Woods has administrative control of recreational vehicles, lots A and B, and these spaces are rented to residents, and whereas the current rate of $320 per year was established on January 1st, 2018, and has not kept pace with rising costs to maintain and operate the facility. So now therefore be it resolved December 3rd, 2024, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby increases the RV lot fee from $320 per space to $370 per space per year, effective January 1st, 2025. And resolve further that the single flat fee shall be charged to users of all recreational vehicles, trailers, boats, and trailer combinations or units regardless of overall length, and that the fee be included in the monetary fee schedule. And resolve further that Resolution 90-17-37, adopted November 7th, 2017, is hereby superseded and canceled. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move that we approve this resolution for discussion purposes and postpone the final vote per Civil Code 4360.
Okay, do I have a second?
We need a second. Oh, it's Steve. Okay.
Thank you. All right, is there any discussion? Steve?
If I second, I get to ask a question. No, just teasing. Mr. Hormuth. So this raise to 370 takes us to break even in 2025, assuming a 10% vacancy. Okay. Given the inconsistency in previous periods where we have revisited the fees, in your, if you know, or if you have an estimation, when will we come back again and visit this fee? And my reason for asking is, we all know that electric costs and water costs and sewer costs have been going up, and not necessarily in a linear basis. So at any point in time, we could get hit with additional increases in those utility costs, and then we might be in a back-end situation again. So when do you think we will revisit this fee?
So this fee specifically is set to come up from a review perspective every 3 years. And that's from a structure perspective. As costs go up, you should anticipate the fees will go up as well. So on an annual basis, give or take, depending upon the dollar. If it goes up by, I'm exaggerating, but if it goes up by 25 cents, we may or may not bring a proposal to you. But every 3 years, we will come back and take a look at, does this fee structure itself still make sense?
Thank you.
Any other questions? Egon?
I just got a comment. While the RV owners will now be paying about 100% of the cost, as it should be, I think, I want to point out that they're still receiving additional value from the village because we install or maintain certain things that are not in this fee. For example, most recently, we put in an electric gate at a cost of $90,000. Thank you.
All right, I'd like to call for the vote. Please vote to move this ahead to the December agenda. 28-day review from members.
Again, I'm sorry, what was your vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
All righty, it is unanimous, and so this vote passes to move it ahead. And I encourage all of you that are out there watching, 28-day review is for member review. You can read it, you can look at it, you can ask questions, and there are ways that we've mentioned before, either by phone, by email, whatever, to ask those questions. And or you can come to the CAC meeting. No, that would be a SCAC meeting if you have a question that you would like to say in person. All right, let's go down to G. Entertain a motion to approve the par 3 golf building shade cover. Would you read that, please, Madam Secretary?
Okay, I don't seem to have a resolution.
There's no resolution provided.
There's no resolution, so here's the recommendation.
Okay.
And this is what we are to approve. First, direct staff to, this is the staff report for the par 3 golf building shade cover. 1, direct staff to proceed with removal of the existing shade structure, install 6 new shade umbrellas, and bring back options for installing a permanent solar shade structure for consideration by the board. Or 2, direct staff to leave the existing structure in place until the board considers options for installing a permanent solar shade structure at a future meeting. So basically, we have a choice, 1 or 2. So we're going to have to vote a little differently. And I'm assuming we should probably hear from Manuel, but
There really are 4 options.
there are, the bottom of the page, okay. So the following options were considered by them. Are we going to vote on all 4? That's
We're
not
going
what's
to vote on
recommended.
one.
The recommendation is the number 1 and 2 at the top,
Right.
and that's what we're voting on. So either for staff to proceed with the removal of the existing shade structure, install 6 new shade umbrellas, and bring back options for installing a permanent solar shade structure for consideration, or direct staff to leave the existing structure in place until the board considers options for installing a permanent solar shade structure at a future meeting.
Okay. Manuel, do you want to give us any insight on this?
We're going to have...
Yes, good afternoon, members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity. This item was presented at the Maintenance and Construction Committee in August, and the members present at the meeting looked at the 4 options that are included in your staff report and voted unanimously to recommend that we remove the existing structure, install shade umbrellas, and then return with options or proposals for a solar shade structure at a future time. We were moving forward with that direction, but a couple of board members asked that we bring this to the full board so that the full board would have the opportunity to weigh in on what we want to move forward with. So the existing shade structure is somewhat deteriorated. It's not hazardous, but it's not the most aesthetic looking structure.
Can you bring up those pictures?
It needs a lot of work. We did try to find a vendor to see if we could just simply make repairs to the supporting structure and replace the cover. We had trouble finding vendors who would do that. They were concerned about the structural integrity of the supporting structure, but we did find one vendor who offered to do the work. That's option 4 in the staff report. That vendor would most likely require that we give him a release of liability in the event that anything should happen after the new cover is placed on it. But the committee looked at all these 4 options, and their direction to staff was to remove the existing structure and use temporary umbrellas as an interim while we explored the option for solar shade covers. So we're seeking direction from the board today as to which you prefer we do. We can proceed with the direction that the MNC committee gave us, or we can go with option 2, which is to leave it in place and then direct us to go explore options for a solar structure. I will just add for the board's information, we didn't have this information at the committee level, but since then we've researched, and the building, that golf building that's there with the shade structure, the annual cost for electricity there is just under $2,000 a year. So it's not a lot of electricity, so we'd have to really look closely to see where it really would benefit from a solar installation. But $2,000 is $2,000. It's just going to take a while to recoup the capital cost of any installation.
Martin?
What was the time frame needed by the contractor for option 4? How soon could he be able to take that apart and put that back together? Did he give you did he need a month? Did he need 2 months? What do you need?
I don't know if Guy has that information or not. I'll ask Guy to give you that.
And how much, too?
So, yeah, that wasn't a part of our question to them. We were looking for budgetary to bring to the committee at the time. So we're just looking, to give you options and what those budget numbers that are the estimates that we were provided at the time. And again, those were budgetary estimates. They're not hard costs.
But more than likely, it wouldn't take more than 60 days to remove the structure to rehabilitate, rehab the structure and install the new material.
Okay. Kush was next.
It's a necessary thing to get done, and I totally agree with that. But we are approaching winter, which is not a very drastic one in California, but it does rain. So my view on this is that if we remove the cover, the shade, it will prevent anybody from using it and sitting out there. The umbrellas may not be a complete solution. So my suggestion is to either get it done as soon as possible or wait for the rains to go away. Because I can assure you, in 1 or 2 storms that we might experience, your umbrellas will blow away and get destroyed, and it will be an additional cost. So instead of the cost to buy umbrellas, just wait till the rains are gone and get it done once and for all completely. So that's my only gripe with this, is to remove the shade and keep it open. Don't keep it up. We use it. At least I do. I live probably like walking distance from this place, and that is my go get a cool head out over there. Yeah.
Steve?
Thank you. My first question would be under option 1. Do you have any idea of the difference of cost between just the removal of the structure and just the umbrellas? Out of the 15,000, is it 10,000 to remove and 5,000 for umbrellas?
Yeah, we estimated about $1,000 per umbrella.
And there would be how many required? 6?
I think there's 6 in
So
there, so we're looking at about 9,000
for the demo. Okay. I have personally gone out to the facility, and I looked around, and thank you for providing the pictures, because they really do tell you what the condition is. My opinion on this is that since there is no immediate structural integrity issue or dangerous liability situation, that we leave this until next spring when we get through the winter weather. That's just my opinion. And also, when I look at the costs which are projected for these, if you take a look at page 3 of 8, you should be able to see pretty well the difference between the roof of the 2 buildings, the roofs, and the shade that's in place there. Although, and I've looked at the electrical costs as well, I pulled the meter information from SCE, and correctly, we only spend about $2,000 a year on electricity there. However, under the net metering provisions of solar PV panels, we can produce much more electricity there and apply it to adjacent meters. So we can offset other costs at other areas as long as we are contiguous parcels. So for example, if you were to say a rough order of magnitude to install a 50,000 solar panel system, whatever electricity would be generated above and the 2,000 for there would be applicable elsewhere. Let me back it down and make it simpler. Let's say a 10K solar system in size, and for rough order of magnitude, call it $30,000 to install. That 10,000 system will generate 15,000 kilowatt hours per year, which is about $5,000, rough order of magnitude there, in cutting of insurance, cutting electrical expenses. So if you spent 30, you're going to get $5,000 back a year on a return on ROI. That does not include maintenance for washing the panels twice a year and, have somebody monitoring it. So personally, I would like to see money spent on putting solar over there And if we do that, it requires an analysis of how much can we put on the existing roof and not having to deal with the shading area from a structural standpoint if we replace the existing structure. So those are my thoughts.
All right, my question, though, is this is kind of isolated, if you will, from any other GRF structure. Where would this excess?
You can apply it to any other meter. For example, in United, we have 8 solar arrays at 8 laundry rooms. We have 175 common area meters. What we produce at those 8 laundry rooms is applied across all 175 meters.
I understand, but I'm not sure where that excess electricity would be applied.
Any meter that we have for GRF property.
The concern is, of course, what's adjacent to that structure, our third mutual residence. Those are the adjacent meters. So how do you apply that electricity just to those few buildings that are around there and you got a trench to them? I mean, your costs are going to be of concern.
Just a point of clarification.
Steve, you want to explain it in a little more lower level? It's like we have meters that the GRF pays. The electricity that is generated goes back to the grid, correct? And that credit is applied to the other meters that we own. Do you understand?
To our grid. The
Yes.
GRF grid?
The GRF
No, but
owns.
Southern
Just
California
explain
Edison
it
grid.
better, Steve.
We're selling power
One
back to-
person at a time, please. You were speaking, Bill.
Okay.
Let's finish yours.
I believe that we're selling power back to Southern California Edison for whatever amount of money, and then that money is applied as a credit to other amounts we owe Southern California Edison. Is that correct?
Good.
What happens in the purely hypothetical circumstance where we generate more power than we use everywhere?
You never build that much solar.
I just asked the question. I mean, what happens if you did?
You would not get any benefit.
Go, amen? Does
You-
Southern
you-
California
they don't-
Edison
they don't
pay
write
us
you a
money?
check. They don't write you a
Okay.
check.
Yes and no, okay, good. Now, the other question I had was, is the roof we're talking about, this carport-like looking thing on 3 of 8?
3 of 8. The white area that surrounds the roofs of the 2 buildings. You see the white area that goes around?
And
That's
the other
the
question is-
existing shade.
I mean, we're talking about whether or not we're going to rip this down and replace it, and if we replace it with solar. What is the difference between a roof we would put up to replace this shaded area, this roof, and a roof that we would put up that would shade this area and have solar panels attached to it? Is the underlying structure the same, whether it has solar panels on it or not?
No, it's not, and I think the discussion is kind of getting commingled a little bit here. What the MNC committee directed is that we bring back an option for a shade structure with solar panels on the shade structure. The conversation now is going to putting solar panels on the building roof, which is probably more appropriate than the shade structure. I'll also just want to point out to Director Bada's comment, the existing cover is not weatherproof. It's strictly for shade, so when it rains, it doesn't really protect you from the rain. The water just seeps right through.
Yeah.
All right. Egon was next. Did you have?
Yeah, I was just going to comment that it's unclear that item number 2 should have said solar power shade, because I was not at that August meeting, so I didn't realize that. But this thing doesn't get a whole lot of usage. And but no matter what you put up there in the future for shade, it's going to be impacted by the same problem. There's some trees there, and leave some trees, land in the shade, and they soak up the water, and that's where the deterioration comes from. So you're not going to eliminate that unless you cut the trees down. And I think section 1 after the winter or something like that would be just fine, where we put umbrellas up and worry about the solar power requirements later.
Okay.
In listening to the members, which is an interesting concept, I'm getting a lot of feedback that temporary umbrellas is not the answer, that let's get the right solution forward, and just, if it's a solar thing, then we do in the spring, that's fine. But to do the umbrellas, I don't think it's going to appropriately cover that which is there to be able to service those that are lounging there. Thank you.
Okay. Bill?
I'm presuming that whoever it is that recommended this, the idea of let's do it now and then figure out what we're going to do something else later, sounds like there's a sense of urgency to do this. But if it's not a safety concern, what is the reason to proceed with the demolition, awaiting a later decision on construction?
Well, as you can see from the pictures on page 4 of 8, the structure does have some serious deterioration. In order to repair that, we'd have to do deconstructive removals, and I guess it would be up to the board's discretion whether you want us to spend money repairing something that's ultimately going to get removed anyway.
Well, I thought I heard you say there's not a safety concern.
It's not a safety concern, but you can see the condition of the...
Well, it's moldy.
Golden.
It's moldy. And
the cover is moldy.
Yes.
The structure
No.
itself
But the
is
cover
rusted,
is moldy.
rusted. Right. Would it stand up for another 6 months?
I look at this picture and I see something that needs to be repaired or torn down.
And we're recommending tearing it down.
Part of the presentation was, we do not have a safety concern about this roof. If that is not accurate and you do have a safety concern about the roof, tell me.
We do not have a safety concern about the roof. We don't like to have things in disrepair and in this condition for our members to be out there enjoying. We recommend it be removed. Recreation staff supports the umbrella proposal, as did the M&C committee, but we certainly will take whatever direction the board gives
us. Steve, and then Kush.
Well, I was going to make a motion, but if Kush wants to say something.
Yeah, I just want to mention one thing, and that is, if it's not a safety issue and if this structure is not in a position to fall down, leave the structure there. The 6 umbrellas won't cover not enough square footage, and it may even be if the cover is removed, it will, with the rain, it might even affect the adjoining buildings during the rain and deteriorate the buildings. So if it's a matter of the next 3 or 4 months, it might be much better to delay this, get all the product that you need to put on top of it in your storage, and then start once and for all and finish it. I'm all for changing it, don't misunderstand it, but just delay it till the weather is better. That's all I would request. And I would take support from all of you in that manner.
All right, Steve, you had a motion?
So the motion I would make would be to pay for the removal of the existing structure. To remove the existing structure now.
Okay, so you're advocating number 1.
Without
In the
the
recommendation.
without the purchase of the umbrellas.
Is that option 4?
Oh, okay.
Well, no, that's to repair and paint the frame and install a new cabinet. No, this is just remove it.
One, but without the
Without
six
the umbrellas. And the reason that I make the motion is that, as Kush says, we are going into winter, right? And we are going into rainy season. So I don't know how much activity will actually be there. And for a minor inconvenience of a few months, rather than spending $6,000 on umbrellas, which we may ultimately pull and build a new structure and put solar on it, or we may not build a new structure and just put solar on the roof. But we need to make a determination of how much solar we could put on the roof, how much solar we could put on an additional structure, what those costs would be, and what the return on investment would be. So right now, if it's an eyesore and it's rusted and it's moldy, in my opinion, just take it down. We can go through the process during the course of the next 6 months to determine where to go. So that would be my motion. Just remove. That's my motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it. We need to hear from a resident.
All right, Gary, you had a,
Wait, can I say something?
yes, you may.
Perhaps you consider removing the structure, but just adding that while the M&C considers options for installing a permanent solar shade structure, that you need something else, it
Okay.
seems to me, for
So
what's
if-
happening while it's gone.
Okay, so
it's gone, we just
to
need
amend
to
it,
add
to amend
something
it
like
to remove the structure and have staff
Staff, committee, whatever.
or committee develop a plan for the installation of future shade with solar.
Something like that, yeah.
All right,
That motion I'd second.
Okay.
we've got it seconded.
Well, discussion is, I don't understand why we don't consider option 4.
All right. And we had one resident, Gary, you wanted to speak?
Gary Durst, 5319A. Just for background, I've put in 4 solar projects over time, starting in '03 in a mil-spec glue-down situation that didn't have batteries, and then after that, I've had systems that had batteries included. One of the things that we should at least consider now is that there are companies that specialize in these sort of shade structures that include solar.
Mm-hmm.
And as of the Reduction Act, now nonprofits are eligible to get the federal credit. And in addition, I've done a little research on this, one of them also says that you can get an additional 10% depending on the American-made portion of it. So it may well be possible that we could get 40% of the shade structure plus the solar structure paid for by the federal government. So I think it's an option that we really need to
Okay, well,
pursue.
As I understand it, and tell me if I'm wrong, Steve, the recommendation that is on the board right now for us to vote on is to direct staff to proceed with the removal of the existing shade structure and bring back options for installing a permanent solar shade structure for consideration by the board. Is that correct?
That's right, that's correct.
Yes.
All right, that's what's been moved and seconded, and I'd like the board to vote on option 1.
Can I make an amendment to this?
We can vote on it.
There'd be no umbrellas, no temporary umbrellas.
No, right, that's correct.
Well, that's not in there.
Yes.
I took that out.
Oh, okay.
When I read it, that was not there.
Can we
I
make
second.
an amendment to this?
Yes,
Okay, so I'd like to make an amendment that this motion that was made be carried out after the rains are done. Do I have a second?
Sorry, I don't see a second.
Get a second from anybody.
All right, so the original motion is on the floor. I'll read it again. Direct staff to proceed with removal of the existing shade structure and bring back options for installing a permanent solar shade structure for consideration by the board. If you'll vote, please.
I say yes. Go ahead.
Thank you, Gan.
Well, let's see. Oh, we're good.
He's out of the room. He's you out of the room, so
I'm
that's
going
it.
to mark him as absent.
All right. The motion carries 5-1 with 2 members absent. You want to vote real quick?
Do you just want, give me a thumbs up? I already completed the vote, but.
Remove the structure, tear down, have staff review.
Staff bring back options.
Right.
Awesome,
Okay.
thank you.
All right. So 6-1, the motion passes. All right, we're going to go to H, and that is committee assignments. Now, this is a slippery slope. The way our governance is set up in this village, the mutuals elect officers in September, seat them in October. They then, at their organizational meeting, their officers, they decide on committee assignments for the coming year for their mutual members. However, they are not accepted on the committee until, because they are GRF committees, until our meeting, which is today, which is a month later. So for that month in between, it's been really difficult. We've had committees where people said, I used to be on the committee, but I don't know if I still am. I'm duly assigned to the committee, but I'm not approved for the committee. I don't know if I'm voting. I don't know if I'm voting, and it has been a problem. I just think that's something to bring to people's attention. So let's look at, and this is going to change again next month because we have GRF members who are terms up and leaving. So, but let's get the mutual members who have been assigned approved, if we can. Madam Secretary.
Resolution 90-24-XX, GRF Committee Appointments. Resolved November 5th, 2024, that the following persons are hereby appointed and ratified to serve on the committees of this corporation. For the Community Activities Committee, we've added Robert Muchnick from 3rd. Reza Karimi has become the alternate from 3rd. Moon Yun has become the regular member for 3rd.
And we have SK Park that is listed as 3rd, but we can't have that 3rd member, so they're going to have to decide between Dr. Moon and SK.
Ellen Leonard has been removed from United as United, and Jean Costello has been added from United. Under the Finance Committee, Donna Range-Hostak has been removed as GRF. David Veneman has been removed as 3rd. Nathaniel Ira Lewis has been removed from third, and Moon Yun has become a full member, removed from alternate. Craig Wayne from third has been added. Robert Muchnick is added as the alternate from third. Charlie Prater has been added from United. Marie Collins is the alternate from United is added. Mickey Choi Ho has been removed as United rep, and Ellen Leonard for the alternate from United has been removed.
All right, the other change that's not in red is Martin is a full member of that committee rather than the alternate, now that Donna is off.
Martin.
So on the first one, just take off alternate, and he's a GRF member.
I'm sorry. For which committee? Oh, take
Finance.
off. That's, remove alternate, okay.
Right.
After Martin's name. Next, under,
Oh, and on the back, Sue Stevens is the alternate for Mutual 50.
she was before also.
Yes.
Nothing.
It was on the back. It's there.
Yeah, I was wondering.
She's still in there, yeah. Turn the page, okay. ITAC,
No, we're going to do that next.
you need to wait till the committee, till the board is settled before
Yeah.
we can do that. ITAC committee, Sue Quam has been removed as alternate and is full-time for United. Mark Laws has been removed from third. Reza Karimi from third has been added. Under Landscape Committee, Donna Rain Sosak from GRF has been removed. Anthony Liberatore from United is removed. Marie Collins from United is added. And Craig Wayne is added as a third alternate. And Catherine Bryan has been removed as the advisor. Under Maintenance and Construction Committee, S.K. Park has been removed as third. Reza Karimi from third is now full-time, no longer alternate. Robert Muchnick, alternate from third, has been added. Tom Tuning from United has been removed. Ellen Leonard as alternate from United is removed. Nancy Carlson from United has been added. And Sue Quam as alternate from United has been added.
And under the advisors, Reza is no longer an advisor since he has moved up into the full committee.
So Reza from third,
No, down at the bottom.
I
under
see it, but Reza from third
Advisors.
has been no longer an advisor, but has been
Right.
added to the committee.
Yeah, he's up, if you'll look, we did,
Yeah, he's
took it
there,
from an
okay.
alternate.
So, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So Reza Karimi has been removed from advisor.
as an advisor, yeah.
All right, thank you. Under Media and Communications, Donna Rain Solstack from GRF is removed. Chris Prince from third is removed. Ruth Johnson from third is added. Craig Wayne from third is added. Georgiana Willis from United has been removed. Jean Costello from United has been added. Under Broadband Ad Hoc Committee, Donna Rain Solstack, alternate from GRF, is removed. Chris Prince, third, is removed. Jim Cook from third is removed. Reza Karimi has been added from third, removed as an alternate. Robert Muchnick from third has been added. Moon Yun as the alternate from third has been added. Mobility and Vehicles Committee, Ellen Leonard from United has been removed. Maggie Blackwell is removed as alternate and is now full-time as United. Marie Collins, as alternate from United, is added. That's it. I move that we approve this.
Wait, we're not done yet.
No, not. I'm sorry.
There's 2 more pages. There you go.
Not in mine.
Yeah, that one. Security Community Access Committee.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay, under Security and Community Access, S.K. Park from third is removed. David Vinderman, alternate from third, is removed. Craig Wayne 3rd is added. Ruth Johnson, alternate from 3rd, is added. Maggie Blackwell from United is removed. Mickey Choi Ho from United is added. Under Disaster Prep Task Force, Donna Rain Sostak from GRF is removed. S.K. Park from 3rd is removed. Jules Zalen from 3rd is added. Craig Wayne, is alternate from 3rd, is added. David Vineman, alternate from 3rd, is removed. Anthony Liberatore, alternate from United. No, I'm sorry. Anthony Liberatore United is removed. And Charlie Prater from United is added. Okay, Laguna Woods traffic hearings remain the same. Media and communications. Donna Rain Sostak from GRF is removed. Chris Prince from 3rd is removed. Ruth Johnson from 3rd is added. Craig Wayne from 3rd is added. Georgiana Willis from United is removed. Jean Costello from United is added.
You already did this one.
Oh, sorry.
You already did page 2. All right, so you want to go over to page 5.
Page 5, sorry. Under Laguna Woods Village traffic hearings, David Vineman, alternate from 3rd, is removed. Robert Muchnick, alternate from 3rd, is added. Under the Select Audit Task Force, David Vineman from 3rd is removed. Craig Wayne from 3rd is added. Under Executive Hearing Committee, Donna Rain Sostak, alternate from GRF, is removed.
And I'm going to add Steve Leonard as our 3rd one, at least for now.
Steve Leonard is added
From
GRF.
GRF. We have to have, really have to have 3 on that committee. No, executive hearings.
This is Executive Hearings Committee. Okay, the next is Space Planning Ad Hoc Committee. Ellen Leonard, alternate from United, is removed. Mickey Choi Ho from United is added. Reza Karimi from 3rd is removed. Moon Yun from 3rd is added. On the El Toro Water District, Donna Rain Sostak from GRF is removed. As far as I know, that's all.
I think that's funny.
I move that we approve the new list of committee members.
Okay, can I get a second, Steve? All right. And vote?
No discussion, let's vote. Okay.
Yes, give me one moment. Gan, can I get your vote as well? I'm going to mark him as absent.
Okay, all right. It is passed 7-0. All right, I'm going to do away with the 5-minute break. We're going to push through because I'm going to ask. We need our treasurer's report. We're going to do that, but next Wednesday at the annual meeting, there will be a thorough discussion by each committee chair of what their committee is doing and what they have done over the last year. So I'm going to just ask the committee chairs under the committee reports if there's anything different, vital, that they need to report on right away. Otherwise, we have in our agenda the start and stop dates, the next meetings, et cetera. So I think we can go through this quite quickly, I hope. So let's get to the treasurer's report, please, Bill.
All right, let's get it up on the screen. All right, Slide number 1. First table indicates all revenues and expenses for operating reserves and restricted funds. Through the reporting period of September 30, 2024, GRF had a net revenue of $3.1 million with total revenue of $39.8 million.
Is your mic on? Can barely
No, it's
hear you.
not. Thank you. I need to start over? Yes, because we're recording it. This first table includes, this is slide 1. First table includes all revenues and expenses for operating reserves and restricted funds. Through the reporting period ended of September 30, 2024, GRF had a net revenue of $3.1 million with a total revenue of $39.8 million and total expense of $36.7 million. GRF was better than budget by $325,000 with total expenses coming in lower than budget by $305,000. Next slide, please. All right, this slide table displays the operating fund activities, which excludes non-operating revenues, expenses, and depreciation. This report shows a favorable variance of $159,000 through the reporting period, with expenses better than budget by $375,000, offset by non-assessment revenue worse than budget by $216,000. Slide 3, please. This slide shows our most significant operating fund variances by category, with green bars representing favorable variances to budget and orange bars representing unfavorable items. The favorables. Overall, we had favorables in cable programming and franchise fees, which were favorable by $321,000 due to cable programming being over budgeted. The variance is expected to continue through the end of the year. The 2025 business plan was adjusted to reflect this. Employee compensation and related were favorable by $302,000 in general services due to various open positions such as bus drivers, a paving helper, and an auto mechanic. Additionally, landscape has various open gardener and irrigation positions. Open positions remain throughout the organization. Recruitment is in progress. A partial offset to the savings is found in recreation as events and operating hours returned to pre-pandemic levels, and the 2025 budget has been adjusted to reflect this. All right, miscellaneous revenue was favorable by $229,000 due to electric charging revenue benefiting from the increased rates that took effect in September 2023 after the 2024 budget was finalized. In addition, demand is higher year to date for personal training and group classes at the fitness center. Clubhouse rentals and event fees were favorable by $178,000 due to more event fee revenue at the Performing Arts Center for events such as King of Queens, Jimmy Buffett, and ABBA Fab tribute bands. All right, unfavorable. Some of the offsetting unfavorable variances included outside services were unfavorable by $111,000 due to a high increase in credit card payments, as payments via credit cards have increased in popularity among residents. Furthering the unfavorable variance, ground maintenance is outsourced as gardener positions remain unfilled. Utilities and telephone were unfavorable by $403,000 due to electricity rates being higher than budgeted. In addition, gas rates were also higher than planned. Both electricity and gas rates have been adjusted for the 2025 plan. Broadband services were unfavorable by $489,000 due to clients allocating less money to cable TV advertising and instead towards other digital platforms that provide advertising metrics. In addition, the internet revenue was slightly over budgeted, which has been adjusted for the 2025 budget. Finally, the revenue for the set-top boxes is lower than anticipated as streaming becomes more popular among the community. And let's go to slide 4, please. This slide shows sources of revenue other than assessments, such as fees and rentals. To date, we have received $8.2 million of non-assessment operating fund revenue, as shown in the pie chart. By category, we can see that our largest revenue is broadband services, which is internet, set-top boxes, ad insertion, and premium channels, followed by golf revenue, other revenue, which includes class fees, electric vehicle charging revenue, additional occupant fees, equestrian center fees, and RV storage fees, among others, amounting to about 16%. Additionally, clubhouse rentals and event fees and merchant sales. These revenues These revenues offset costs and help keep our assessments down. Let's go to slide number 5, please. Consistent with prior months, our largest operating fund expense is compensation, followed by cable and programming expenses of the $32.8 million, including depreciation. These two categories account for 70% of the total operating expense. Insurance, professional, and legal, outside services, utilities, and fuel, et cetera, make up the remaining 30%. Slide 6. All right, the reserve and restricted fund balances are shown here. Starting with the very first column on the left, reserve funds have a combined ending balance of $45.9 million. Restricted fund balances have an ending balance of $2.8 million. Included in these totals are contributions received through this year through assessments, trust facilities fees, and investment earnings. The second column shows the work in progress of $12.8 million for reserve and $43,000 for restricted, reflecting the amounts paid for projects not yet completed. The third column represents the resulting adjusted fund balances of $33.1 million for reserve and $2.8 million for restricted. Slide number 7, please. There we are. Here we have to show the resale history from 2022 to 2024. Community-wide sales totaled 596 through September 30, 2024. Most of these transactions generate trust facilities fees used as a source of revenue for our reserves. Slide number 8, please. The listing on this slide gives you an idea of where the reserve money is committed. Of the $29.8 million appropriated by the board for various projects and equipment purchases, the remaining encumbrances against our reserve funds is $15.6 million, primarily for renovation projects. Restricted funds had a total appropriations of $47,000 for the West Creek Fuel Modification Project, which has been completed. Slide number 9. We compare our adjusted fund balances to historical balances for the past 5 years on this chart, showing the GRF has averaged $32.5 million in reserve funds and $2.7 million in contingency funds. And thus ends the reading of the day.
I'd like to make just a quick comment before we get into the Finance Committee report. I get a lot of feedback from residents, et cetera, and one of the big things is the $7,500 facilities fee. By law, we cannot share that with the mutuals. It is strictly for the trust facilities. Now, it helps to keep your GRF portion of the dues down. $10 approximately per owner per month was the increase this year, 84% of which was fixed cost. The electricity, the gas, the trash, the things that we have no control over. But that $7,500 is what keeps that amount in your assessment down. Without that, it would be probably at least $10 per man or per month higher. So people don't seem to understand what that's for, and I keep hearing from other directors on mutuals particularly, share it with us, give us part of that. We cannot do that. It's against the law. So I hope that clears up a little bit of what that is. Yes, Martin?
We also charge a $17
to put
reserve
into
fee.
our reserve fund.
Right, okay.
But that's different.
It is, yeah. What's to keep a mutual from charging their own transfer fee?
It's not allowed by law. And the only reason we
Law
get to
or
do it
regulation?
is because we were grandfathered in when they made the law that said you can't do it anymore.
Okay.
So we are one of the very few that get to charge a facilities fee. And,
I just wondered.
yep, that's it.
Thank you.
Okay, Steve?
I just wanted to make a note that for the Mobile and Vehicles Committee on 14G, page 1 of 2, there is an error in call to order number 1. It states that you called the meeting to order, I called the meeting to order.
Correct.
Just for,
Okay, yeah, just,
there you go.
simple, if there are any other Scribner's corrections, et cetera, let's give those to Michaela and get them through. Is there anything else in the committee reports that one of the committee chairs feels is vital that we need to go over before next Wednesday? Joan?
Do we need
For meeting communications, we had a great update on the website. I just want to let you know that the website will be revealed in mid-November, so watch for it. It's due to be revealed very soon. That was my report.
And if you want to see what all that is about, go to YouTube and get the video of the meeting. Kush?
Are we going to go over any other reports or?
Not unless you have anything specific that you want to bring out.
I don't have, I just have a small list of, small piece of paper for the CSE, but if that's not important, I will just tell you the next meeting is on, is at 1:30 p.m. on Thursday, November 14th.
Right, that's
at
right.
2024. And then the landscape committee meeting will be in December, on December 11th at 1 p.m.
Very good, thank you.
Okay.
I actually do have an item for the Finance Committee. There's going to be a special Finance Committee meeting called, I think it's going to be the 22nd, hasn't yet been called, for the purpose of reviewing the broadband
Broadband, right.
thing.
Yeah, there may be a couple of special committees, special meetings called to further that along, since we are under a times crunch on that. So, yeah, I appreciate that. All right, any other committee that has a special? Not, okay. All right, future agenda items. All of the items under new business that were put on 28-day review are moved up to the future agenda items. And anything else that anybody can think of? There may be, I'm going to say, broadband will have something on a future agenda that's going to be coming up from those special meetings. All right, director's comments. Steve, let's start with you.
Happy National Redheads Day and Happy National Donut Day. Everybody vote.
If you have not voted, vote. Egon, any comments? No comment. Bill?
No further comment.
Martin?
Juanita, thank you for your services and for conducting a good meeting. And Joan, too. Thank you guys for the services you
Thank you.
appreciate it.
All right, Joan?
As Martin revealed, this is my last regular board meeting, because I too am retiring, and it's been a pleasure and a challenge at times, and I've loved every minute of it. I'll be back if I can. Thank you.
Yeah, just to mention, Gan is also the other one of our board directors right now that is retiring. Gan, do you have any comment?
Yes, I have voted, and I wish you all the best.
Okay, thank you. Kush?
We will see you obviously again one more time next month, but in
The
spite
annual
of
meeting.
in spite of that, I'd like to thank
It's next
you.
week, next Wednesday is our annual meeting.
Right, next Wednesday. But I want to say thanks to both of you and to GAN for everything that they have, what you guys have done, and supported all of us, and always had a good, happy meeting. So thank you. And no other comments. And Martin, I hope to see you back on the board. So I don't want to say bye to you.
We all do. Okay. All right, in that case, this meeting is recessed, and the closed meeting will start at 12:30. Excuse me, 1:30. I'm reading my clock wrong. 1:30.